Hey, I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Scott.
Come on in and grab a seat.
Because you're hanging with us at the Barbershop. Welcome back on another episode of Hanging at the Barbershop.
Man, it feels like it's been like weeks.
Weeks and weeks. Busy, right? It's been a busy time.
At least two. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, right when we were ahead episodes. So
yeah, it's funny how we've, feel like we've kind of like burned them up and used them. I think we're one ahead now?
One in the bank.
One in the bank. So we're going to get this one out. We're going to do a little bit of rescheduling magic because this episode is going to fall on to New Year's. Happy New Year, everybody.
Year in review.
Special treat for you. We've got the whole Sawcast family here. It's the original three. Here we are.
There we go.
I'm your host, Wes.
I'm Scott.
And out from behind the control board, Andy!
Hello.
That's right. It's your Sawcast family. Happy New Year.
So we thought it would be fun we all kind of went through and kind of Googled some stuff and remembered some stuff. And we've kind of slapped in our favorite news clip or memory from each month this year.
Yeah, not sure how your 2020 was, but, I think the prevailing, how do I say this? COVID-19 has changed the face of the planet, and hard as we may have tried to, stay away from it, it invariably will turn itself loose throughout the recap.
Yeah. It's funny too, because you try to go through and try to look for some funny stuff and try to some current or local stuff, and man, really, 2020 is the year of COVID.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And then some.
But
if you're in the UK, it's come back in its new and improved form right now.
But I think we've picked out some pivotal moments and some funny stuff for sure.
So we tried not to overlap each other. So I think we on our dry run we got some interesting headlines. I think we are going to spark some interesting conversation. Hopefully, fans, you enjoy the conversation as well, and we look forward to getting your feedback and you guys participating in the conversation, which you can do in a number of ways. You can always engage with us on our Facebook at Hangin at the Barbershop. You can catch us on Instagram, or you can email us directly. It's hangingatthebarbershop@gmail.com. Well, gentlemen, how do we want to do this? You want to just kind of round table it and go through it month by month, or?
I think that works really well.
Pretty excited to hear what Andy's got. For those of you guys who are new to the show, Andy is our producer, our editor. He's the man who keeps us moving forward, is developing a new show soon to be coming. Tell us a little bit about that.
New show?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to give it all away.
Or show or segment?
Show.
It's definitely
definitely
working it in as a full cast show.
Yeah, I don't know on the release schedule yet, but it's going to cover a wide variety of topics.
Yeah.
Ranging from paranormal to cryptids and anything in between.
So you are really sort of touching into parapsychology and sort of ufology and like all that other kind of fringy kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anything a bit on the off the path of normal side.
Excellent. I very much look forward to listening to that one because I think that's going to be a whole heap and ton of fun.
Coming soon in 2021.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, good times. Good times.
So I'm pretty excited because it's on our read through. It sounded like a lot of your headlines were like news of the weird that some of those things may sort of fit in with what's coming in the pipeline for you.
A couple of them. A couple not so much, but still weird nonetheless.
All right. Well then. Well, everybody, grab a hold of your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and for the next, I don't know how long this is going to take, but enjoy the ride, and hopefully we'll see you at the end of this thing. Let's go.
January.
What do you got for January, Scott?
Man charged in meat theft. Break and enter at Smoky Joe's in Peterborough and the Autonomy Meat Packers results in 2 men being charged with several offenses and leaves me asking, where is the beef?
Where's the beef?
So I think this happened. It was reported, and both places were broken into, and large portions of product was stolen, and there was spoilage. And,
right. Smoky Joe's. Now, is that a restaurant? That's not a restaurant.
No, it's a butcher.
Okay, yeah, it's a packing facility.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, am I incorrect? But this isn't the first time this has happened to them.
I don't believe so. I think it was interesting that it was 2 places, and I think Autonomy's actually got hit twice in like 3 days. So damage to doors and damage to product, and then they kind of pieced it together, and these guys were selling meat out of the side of their truck, and they kind of pieced it together, and charges were laid.
Oh, so they did. They caught them.
Yeah.
You dummies.
Well, right. Anyone that's stealing meat and selling it local, I don't think is thinking through their criminal masterminds.
How many times do we see? You're all on the Facebooks, and you all see this. We all see similar posts because we're all kind of floating around the same groups, and I see everybody's sort of interactions, like in our community groups, and we see the same faces. Don't deal with this person, or don't. This guy's a complete and total scammer, or. All these warnings about if it's being sold, like you say, sold on the side of the road, or, check the local pawn shops. I mean, how many times have we seen that in the last year?
Oh, 100%, right? And it's like, but people can't say no to a deal. So it's like they don't, right? It's like, oh, that's such a good deal. I'm going to buy it. And don't even think, where would that guy have gotten an eye of a round and selling it at 99 cents a pound, right?
I told you my story, how I actually got a piece of stolen merchandise returned to me.
No.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty cool story that it goes hand in hand with that whole check the pawn shop thing. When I was still in the military, when I moved back to Ontario from Nova Scotia, I did a house hunting trip because the military affords you a week to go and look for a house if you're going to buy a house. So I had a rental car, but I brought my GPS with me, and it had my home address, which was listed as my Nova Scotia address. But it also had the history, the drive history of all the houses that I went to look at in the week that I was in Ontario. So usually a house hunting trip is done, several months before you move. And now it's several months later. I'm now settled back in Ontario. I've been living in my house now for a couple of months. I get a knock from the door, and it's a very nice detective from the City of Barrie Police Service. He's like, listen, this is really a long shot, but he's like, I've got this GPS, and he holds it up, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And he's like, your neighbor across the street told me that you guys moved here from Nova Scotia. And I'm like, well, yeah, we did. Where I'm in the military, and we moved here, and this is one of the houses we looked at. He's like, yeah, because the address for your house is in the GPS. I'm like, yeah, because I programmed it. He's like, can you tell me what your address was in Nova Scotia? So I tell him, and he's like, yeah, it's yours.
So where did they find it?
They got it out of a pawn shop in Barrie.
And when was your car broken into?
So the posting was in July. So we would have done the house hunting trip in March.
And the car got broken into?
During the trip. Within the first... Oh, man. It's my own fault, too, because I left the car unlocked by accident. And so, I had a nice a wet skins rain jacket that got stolen out of it, and the GPS and the cup holder change, right? No damage or anything else, just the couple stolen items. Never got the rain jacket back, don't care, but the GPS came back, and I just found that to be completely fluky, sheer luck. But again, don't go hawking shit that you steal locally. Don't hawk it locally.
Yeah. Well, that's right. We had the truck stolen and the GPS was taken, and I was always worried. They had my keys, and and this whole thing of, well, shit, they know where I live because, of course, I put the location of the house as home.
Yeah, of course.
They say you're not supposed to do that, but
no, it wasn't a big deal for me because at that time they'd have had to drive to Nova fucking Scotia. Anyway, that didn't happen. But yeah, this is my little side story to tie into your headline, which
good times.
I very much I like that.
And what was your January headline?
Well, I got a few actually. I don't know if I need to read them all, but maybe
just the zingers.
The zingers. So I'm going to go with this one. First off, January was the month that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had announced that they were quitting the royal family. In addition to stepping back from official royal duties, they would seek their own financial independence. The two would be allowed to retain the Duke and Duchess titles, but they are not able to use the His or Her Royal Highness. And on top of that, they were stripped of all royal appointments. It was big news.
It was big news.
It was like, it seemed like it was ongoing for months.
And then the fact that they were moving to Canada.
It started out that way.
And then didn't last very long.
They were going to the West Coast, I think. And then something about her. Did she get a job? She got an acting job.
Maybe.
That took her back to LA or something. And I think that's where they are now. But I don't really follow them as a celebrity, like, power couple.
Not a royal watcher.
I'm not, but I got to tell you, of all of them, he's probably the one I have the most respect for, because that guy spent 10 years in the army.
Yeah, active duty,
right? And
pretty much.
It's not like Philip was in. I think Philip was in the Navy. So Philip was in the Navy, and I think he did some sea time. But both Diana's boys are in the military. Oh my God, what's Harry's brother's name?
Charles.
No, that's their
Charles
dad.
Oh, sugar.
The older brother. Wow, how can I call myself a Canadian and don't even know who these people are?
Yeah,
That's
British.
how important they are to me. Anyway, the older brother was a search and rescue pilot.
Correct.
But Harry, hard charging motherfucker, was a infantry officer and did time in the shit in the GAN. So I got to respect him for that. And he's really struggled with that, like not having those. I think it's a lot of the military stuff that he was associated with, like his appointments, having those stripped from him has really, really hurt him on a personal level because of, the attachments that he has.
It was important to him, right?
Hugely important. There's that one. Oh, here's a fun one for you. Back on the 20th of January this year, Pamela Anderson said "I do" for the 5th time. This time, the former Baywatch star married movie mogul John Peters, who happened to produce the 1976 and 2018 versions of A Star is Born, a movie which I finally got to watch and decided I hated the fucking ending. Yeah, Pammy tied the knot again. I think she should have tied a knot in it.
Oh, dear. She's just trying to find love.
Aren't we all? I found my love. I got a couple more, but I don't know if they're really worthy. One little one that's closer to home. January 7th, drummer of my favorite band, Rush, Neil Peart, passed away after a 3-year battle with brain cancer. World renowned and respected by virtually everyone in his field, Neil's achievements in rock and roll are unparalleled. It was a sad day. He died the same day as my mom. So. And it's weird too, because we didn't find out until 3 days later. So I mean, the announcement was on January 10th. But that was like, oh, he died on the 7th. And I'm like, what? Same day as my mom. So it was a little bit of a moment there where the magic kind of went out of the music for me there for a little while. But I'd never grieve. This is probably the first one that I really, really grieved in terms of like celebrity death. It's usually I'm so disconnected from it, right? There's no connection.
Yeah.
But this one really
Hit home.
Man, did it ever. And the last one, poor Aerosmith. Aerosmith drummer Joey Kramer filed a lawsuit against the band for freezing him out of big performances at the Music Cares Person of the Year honors and the Grammys. And unfortunately for him, the judge sided with the band, saying that because he hadn't performed with them since April of 2019, that there was no confidence that his skills were up to that level of performance.
He didn't have the licks.
No, which is funny because the band actually said, you got to come to the shows and accept the awards. And he did. And then kind of awkwardly shuffled off the stage when they go to perform. Yeah. So.
But I mean, this is the thing, right? If you're not consistently playing the music.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, as a non-music person at all.
I'm not a musician by any means, so I cannot really critique those who do.
Is it like riding a bike?
I think it's like any hand-eye coordinated skill. Like if you're not doing it, you'd
be rusty. You'd be a beat behind.
Yeah.
I even if I played that song 100 times, but if you hadn't played it currently within the calendar year with the other guys, you don't know if they're a beat behind or a beat ahead, or you lose that magic, right?
Well, when the devil came back to Georgia, Johnny had to practice a bit.
Oh my God, it's funny you should say that. I did not pick that one, but that was a headline this year in entertainment news.
Yes.
Later this year, Charlie Daniels did pass away this year. Yeah, interesting that you had mentioned that. Hey, I learned I can still play Mary Had a Little Lamb on a recorder.
I don't want to hear that.
My granddaughter has a little cheap plastic play recorder that only the top 3 holes actually change. Anything after that, the note does not change. It's imperceptible, but the first 3, I'm like, oh yeah, I still remember. Yep. And now every time I do it, she's like, here, Grandpa, play this.
I was going to say, you've started a bad thing.
Yeah. I wanted to pitch my recorder in public school.
Didn't we all?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
It never would have passed fucking COVID protocols.
Well, it was yours. Blowing on it.
No, man. Grade 7 and grade 8, those things were handed out and collected at the end of the class.
No.
Yes, they were. For sure they were. And it got worse because the first ones we played, they were made of wood. Remember that? Are you guys young? Were you guys old enough?
I feel mine was plastic, and I feel like I got it in a case, and I got to take it home.
Did you really?
I feel like
I did not. My first one was a wood one, and then they cycled them, like you say, to plastic. And I don't know if that was better or worse because you could see the fucking chew marks on it, and it was the most disgusting thing ever. Ugh, I hated that thing. That's my January.
Wow, yeah. What about you, Andy?
I got one here from CBS.com. Weather Services issues alert for falling iguanas.
What?
I guess down in Florida, as they were dipping down in the temperatures, because the iguanas are an invasive species, if it drops below 50, they get really sluggish. And when it gets down as cold as it did, they freeze up and
they were falling out of the trees.
Falling out of the trees onto pedestrians. So,
damn you, global warming.
People were warned to, keep your head up.
Have you guys ever seen, you guys all know my wife, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but she has a slight teensy weensy, you guys can't see my fingers, but teensy weensy fear of spiders. So if there's one like descending from the ceiling, she will like flip out.
And you got to go squish it?
Actually, she's getting better at that. She's to the point now where like she can grab a shoe and smash it with a shoe, but not like to the point where I'll go get like a piece of like a paper towel and I'll just grab it and crush it. But I'm just trying to envision Kim walking under a palm tree and getting iguana'd.
Right. I think I would lose my banana. Like, right?
I probably would too.
Yeah. You'd be like, oh.
Well, they're big enough. They got some weight behind them.
Yeah.
Could do some damage.
Yeah, they do. They grow big.
All right. On to February.
It was fucking cold here. Kawartha Lakes, Ontario, Canada. It was cold.
So I thought it was important to state that this was a leap year.
Whoop, whoop.
So, of course, it's always in February, right? You get that extra day. Hang on to your hats because we're not going to have another one until 2024, till the next one. I also wanted to mention that on a leap year, the ladies can propose to their men. And at Sarah Samey, you can look at her Twitter. She did ask her man, and he said yes. And that's on her Twitter feed. So if anyone else out there in our listening audience is up for a little role reversal, send us a message.
Is Sarah a fan of the show?
She's not, but she was...
Do you think she will be now?
I don't know. I guess we could bury her on the hashtag and see what she does. But yes, she posted some pictures of her leap year anniversary or proposal engagement, and it was very nice that her man said yes. I don't know if that means her man was not shitting on the pot or get off.
Yeah, really.
Whether he was dragging his feet or not, but she had no thoughts of saying or waiting any longer, so she popped the question.
Doesn't that say something about gender roles in the 21st century?
It's still there. As much as you want to think that it's changed.
I didn't say it's changed. I'd like to think it's changing.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But we're working on it. What do you want me to do? You want me to give one?
Sure.
Hey, well, February, follow up to our January story. Guess what, guys? After just a whopping 12 days of marriage, Pamela Anderson and John Peters confirmed that they had split.
What?
Then came the confusing game of he said, she said. Pamela reportedly realized that she'd made a mistake just a day and a half into the union, which ultimately was not legally binding as they hadn't filed their marriage certificate.
I wonder, did they consummate the marriage?
Oh, you're damn right they did. And you know what? Maybe that played into it. Maybe it was just terrible
Relations.
Yeah. And then what did he say? He actually said later on to a British tabloid that he'd ended the relationship via text message, no less, saying that he was an old fool for falling for Pam again 30 years after they had initially dated, and he was hurt because he'd paid off $200,000 in bills for her in the 12 days that they were married.
But he got the boner.
I'm sorry, but like Pamela Anderson 20 years ago, I don't even know if that's a $200,000 bone.
Okay. Okay.
And the big one, the big entertainment news for February this year, Harvey Weinstein was convicted. He wasn't sentenced, but he was convicted of 2 sex crimes after a long trial that included graphic testimony from multiple witnesses. After 5 days of deliberations, a jury found that Weinstein, age 67, was guilty of committing a criminal sex act in the first degree involving one woman and rape in the third degree involving another. He was acquitted of 3 other charges. Weinstein was remanded into custody following the announcement of the verdicts, and the sentencing came much later. What else we got going? February was a busy month. We got more celebrity death. Kirk Douglas. We lost Kirk Douglas in February. Michael his son Michael had announced it, saying that it was with tremendous sadness that my brothers and I announced that Kirk Douglas left us today at the age of 103. And here's one for you guys. I don't know, you guys Friends fans? The TV series Friends?
I watched it when it was on TV.
I'm watching it now on Netflix as background noise because I did not watch it in its original run. So I'm finding it, maybe it's my age now. I actually find it far more entertaining now than it ever was when it was on before. But back in February, an unscripted reunion event was announced to be going on later this year on HBO Max. And apparently it has already aired. Did anybody see it?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Wasn't on my watch
I guess
list.
not. That whole HBO Max thing and the distribution deals, though, like if none of the Canadian, looking at you, the CRTC, if none of the networks or none of the Canadian cable companies picked it up, then, you're kind of...
It doesn't come.
Not really, unless you're streaming with I guess it'd be the VPN, I guess.
Well, you can see it on the satellites. You get it on the Crave channels and then HBO there.
Yeah, so I did not, and I didn't buy in. When did I buy into Crave? I bought Crave to get Picard. So whenever Picard aired, I don't remember. But I'll tell you, I did not see it. So, and would I want to watch an unscripted reunion thing? I don't know. Maybe not.
I've got the Will Smith one PVR'd to watch. So.
Oh, let me know how that is, because I'm keenly interested to know how that one went.
Mm-hmm.
That's my February. What do you got, Andy?
I've got, again from CBS.com, armed men steal hundreds of rolls of toilet paper in Hong Kong as coronavirus fears spread.
Well, you gotta wipe.
True.
Wait, so it's bad enough that here in North America we had to deal with the doomsday preppers, but they've resorted to just outrightly stealing it.
Yeah. 3 knife-wielding robbers stole 50 packs from a delivery man.
Oh, boy.
Now, eventually they were caught and they were arrested, and, it was recovered, the toilet paper valuing in at $220, but I guess they're not aiming as high these days.
Oh,
Right.
my God. I guess, the price of shit tickets just went up.
Right? It's not like the great maple syrup theft of 2019.
Oh, no, yeah.
Or the Moosehead theft of 2018 or whatever it was, right?
Was that the Toronto Moose?
No, like Moosehead beer.
Yeah.
Out east, they had a big truck of kegs go missing.
Or the big tomato theft of...
Right.
Yeah.
but that's good. I like that. All right, on to March. So hard-pressed not to mention this, that on March 11th was the official day that COVID-19 was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. I'd like to say that that's enough COVID news, but I know it probably pops up a couple more times throughout this. But, man, as we said at the start, 2020 has been the year of COVID. I'm so done with COVID.
Yeah, 2020 is the COVID kick to the balls, even if you don't have a pair.
Right.
That's how hard it's kicking. What day did you say that was?
March 11th.
Is that your only headline for the month?
That was the only one I chose.
What's funny is that same day, March 11th, Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson came out as the first celebrities to announce that they had COVID-19, but they weren't the only ones. We had a slew of celebrities that have since announced, and some have actually passed on because of it. But Idris Elba, Andy Cohen, and Colton Underwood, to name a few. And even the royals were not exempt, as on March 24th was announced that Prince Charles had contracted the virus and was self-isolating up in Scotland. So, yeah, COVID is, kicked the shit out of everybody. We lost Kenny Rogers in March. The gambler, he knew when to fold him, I guess.
When to fold him.
Yeah. No pun intended. Well, maybe a little pun intended. Yeah. Love Kenny Rogers. Got a favorite Kenny Rogers moment?
No.
Certainly wasn't his plastic surgery, I'll tell you that much.
Maybe his chicken?
His chicken?
Did he not? Rotisserie chicken.
Did Kenny Rogers have
he had
chicken?
a restaurant?
They made a whole arc out of that on
Really?
Fresh Off the Boat. He had a rivalry going with Michael Bolton.
Really?
And Kenny Rogers had a chain of chicken restaurants. So Michael Bolton wanted a chain of steakhouses.
Oh my God.
But eventually, Kenny Rogers buys the steakhouse. So it's Kenny Rogers, Michael Bolton's
Steak and Chicken?
Cattleman's Ranch.
Cattleman's Ranch. What was this on?
It's Fresh Off the Boat.
Fresh Off the Boat. Is that a movie?
No, it's a TV show.
TV show. Okay. Yeah. Who's got it in Canada?
It's on the Comedy Network.
Okay, so that's probably Bell. I don't know. I'll have to
And
look for
I'm
it.
pretty sure it's on CTV as well.
Kenny Rogers did one of my all-time favorite childhood movies, Six Pack. Anybody remember the Six Pack?
I do not.
Like super, super early appearances of Anthony Michael Hall, like way, way like young. He's like plays his character Swifty. They keep calling him Shifty. It's Swifty, man. It's about like 6 kids who are orphaned. They live basically in a shack in like southern any town USA. And Kenny Rogers' character plays a washed-up NASCAR driver, Brewster Baker. And so the sheriff of the town has this basically car stripping racket going on where the kids are mechanically inclined. So the kids would go out at night and strip the cars for the sheriff, and he would basically throw them a pittance so that they could live. But then when Brewster Baker rolls into town, they hit his race car, which is being trailered behind his camper, and he chases them down, figures out what's going on, and becomes this blended family movie where like he visits an old love interest and the sparks are reignited, and the two of them, want what's best for the kids. And by the end of the movie, they're this big blended family. And it's this, even now in what year is it? No, 2020, watching this movie from 1980, 81, it's still one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. So Kenny Rogers fans, if you've never seen it, it's Six Pack. It's, I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but if you're on my friends list, I will loan you my DVD copy if you really want to watch it. So yes, Six Pack. Oh, enough about Kenny. What else happened in March? Oh, hey, Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison for rape and sexual assault. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Right. He made good movies.
Yes, he
did. I went
did.
through the list and I was like, oh, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Can I still like these movies because he made them?
I think on
the guy
some
fronting
level.
the money, though, right?
Yes and no. I mean, Harvey Weinstein, we talked about this before on our sister show on Fandom Power about the casting couch being a real thing. And he was a huge part of that, where like he was literally like, I'm sitting here, come sit on my lap, like that kind of stuff.
You want the part, there's the couch.
Yeah, it was very much like that. So, and all like this, the whole Me Too thing and everything that spun out of it, and it's still ongoing. Congratulations, Harvey Weinstein, on promulgating woke culture. We thank you for that while you rot in prison, you sack of shit.
Hear, hear.
Here's a fun one. Everybody fan of the Crocodile Hunter?
Yes.
Remember the Crocodile Hunter? Crocodile Hunter himself, his little girl, Bindi Irwin, got married in March. She married her longtime beau, Chandler Powell, at the Australia Zoo where they first met.
Aww.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Where they were first engaged. Australia Zoo, that was the zoo that Steve ran with his father. So big family connection there. Cool to see her all grown up. And then lastly, I used to say, it was a friend of mine when I was back in the Army in the early days, and we used to joke about if you had a celebrity death list, who would be on it? And my buddy Rick at the time, he's like, I only have one answer for that, and it's Judge Judy.
I hate to ask.
Yeah.
Celebrity death.
Yeah, if you
list?
had a list of celebrities that could be put to death with a snap of your fingers, like they should just be dead.
Oh, to end them.
They should not be around anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Thanos list.
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Okay, I got you.
The snap list, eh? Yeah.
And
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy.
Yeah. He's like, I hate Judge Judy. And I thought, well, I think she's great for a laugh. Turns out Judge Judy is ending her relationship with the CBS network after 25 years. So 25 seasons of Judge Judy. Man, that's more than half my age.
It's like a quarter century.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's Judge Judy has been in my life more than she is not.
Yeah.
But hey, justice will continue to be served as she moves over to a yet unnamed network for a new show called Judy Justice, where I'm sure she'll be engaging with her usual repertoire of repartee of wit and insults.
I wonder if those decisions were legally binding.
They are. If you know how they do the rapid fire, the credit sequence.
Yes.
If after watch, because my mom would watch it and I would watch it with her, so I don't remember the network. It might have been one of the like TBS or the USA network, but they would show like multiple episodes in a row. So over time, like you could read the credit segment over multiple viewings, and essentially all of those court shows have a similar kind of theme where the people who are litigating whatever jurisdiction that they would fall into, they waive their rights and they agree to be bound by whatever the TV court judge says.
Right.
Which is whatever the jurisdiction that they're in. So for Judge Judy, it was, I think, California is whatever she could dole out.
Right.
And then any monies awarded were paid by the show.
Oh.
So even the
losing is still winning.
Yeah, even the losers would get paid like an appearance fee or some kind of like remuneration for just being there. But yeah, I always found that interesting. I actually saw it once. I don't know if it might have been the People's Court. It was a pair from Alberta once on the People's Court. But yeah, I guess it was more important for them to have their 10 minutes of fame, because I think the court segments are like, you get 2.5 hour show. So like really 15 minutes if you're lucky, not include, well, 10 minutes. We got to have commercials.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Judge Judy, moving on to a new show. What do you got for March, Andy?
I got a follow-up, technical follow-up.
Okay.
A baby born in the toilet paper aisle of a Missouri Walmart.
As I was saying on the dry read, Scott, we've been to Missouri. Does that seem odd to you?
No.
So basically, because of the shortages, she was there and her water broke, and informed the people around her that, this being not her first kid.
It was going to be a fast one.
Yeah, it's like, get ready, she's coming.
It's a coming.
So
it's a coming quick.
Didn't you? Now you have 3 kids, Scott. Didn't your wife say that the third one was a fast delivery?
Why are you bringing that up? I don't want to talk about it.
I'm sorry.
And then I'm going to say something, and she's going to be like, why are you talking about that on air?
You could just say yes or no. There was a fast delivery?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's not my news to tell,
That's
Wesley.
fair. Okay, that's fair.
Well, luckily, there was a labor nurse who was in the area.
Wanting toilet paper too.
Yeah, exactly. Donned some gloves and helped her out.
So did she cherry pick the gloves off the
Oh, I totally would have. What? Yeah, I'd be like, oh.
No, she actually had them in her pocket.
Go figure. Healthcare
Oh,
professional
yeah.
had them on her person. That's
Ready to go.
responsible and all
Professional.
that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Good for her.
better than me. I don't carry gloves anymore. March. So are we through March?
We are.
I guess so. Let's see. Well, we're definitely into springtime now. April's rolling around. COVID's in full effect. The snow here, I think, is finally melted. What do you got?
April Fools.
God
Not really.
damn it.
On April 27th, South Korea told CNN that
Right.
despite speculation that Kim Jong-un,
Oh.
he is alive and well.
He's not dead.
Because there had been speculation that he was in a vegetative state or even dead after heart surgery.
I got to tell you, when that story was breaking, I'm not a religious guy, but I was praying. Could he be? Could it be? Could it be?
Be the way to get him, right? You just sneak in a doctor or pay a doctor off and be like, listen, he's getting up in age. He's going to start needing like things done,
Yeah.
heart surgery or this or that. Just, pump a little extra anesthetic into him and just make sure he never wakes up.
So contrary to popular belief, it was not a sequel to Weekend at Bernie's.
Correct.
Weekend at Kim's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Did you get anything else for April?
I did not.
Nice.
I'm a 1 month.
Oh, you're
kind
one.
of guy.
Okay, one story per month. Okay. I've got a few. Let's see. We've got, we can, a little follow up here. April 1st was the first day since Megxit, as Harry and Meghan were no longer senior working royals. So that's what, three months that they got a reprieve on whatever they were getting. And it's still, they were getting paid, I guess, by the British government for that whole time.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Ching, ching.
So the lighter side to COVID, and you could kind of expect this, the joke is made about living in Canada and living in the cold. There's only so many things you can do when it's cold and snowing outside. Apparently the same applies for COVID, as celebrity pregnancy seemed to be the news of the month. Several celebrity couples announced pregnancies, including Leighton Meester and Adam Brody, Chris Pratt and Katherine Schwarzenegger, and baby number 5 for Alec Baldwin and his wife Hilaria.
How's that guy still getting it up? He's old.
He is old, and like I was saying earlier, we happened to catch on, it was either Crave, I think it was on Crave. There's a new version of The Match Game, the game show, and he hosts it, and he is constantly slamming himself for taking the job because it allows him to be home every day with the new baby.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's right. Ideally, that's how your career works.
Yeah.
And you get to a point and be like, oh, what can I do that's actually going to get me home to be with my family?
But he makes these jokes about, is this what I'm reduced to?
And fistful of Viagra to keep
Yeah.
that. I don't know.
That's the thing though. Like, he's like 20. He is significantly older than his wife, and a lot of the couples, celebrity couples news that I looked at for this show, there were huge like May-December relationships. I'm like, it really, money does speak that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like David Foster is like producer, arrangement, musician. David Foster has a wife who is like, I think she's like she's like 28, and he's like north of 60. Anyway, money or love, Scott? You just said it. You said at the beginning of the show, everybody's looking for love. Money or love?
Money.
I have to agree with you on that.
Can't buy me love.
Can't buy me love, but you can buy some love, even if it's by the hour.
Right? I don't know.
Speaking of musical news, everybody remember it was a huge hit song, at least for the 10 seconds that I remember it. Stacy's mom has got it going on.
That's still on a few playlists.
It is.
Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah, so the Fountains of Wayne frontman Adam Schlesinger passed away due to complications from the coronavirus. He was just 52. Besides Stacy's mom, he went on to do the title song to an Oscar-nominated song for the film That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks. He wrote the song The Thing You Do. Yeah, so that's my April. Over to you, sir.
I have one. It kind of squeaked through because of the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that's why they did it. But in April, the Pentagon released 3 short videos of unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Oh, yes. The U.S. government acknowledges that UFOs are real. Yes.
They were previously released by a private company, but they decided they should release them just to clear up any confusion.
Oh, sweet. By any chance, did the words Space Force appear in your notes?
It did not.
Oh, damn. Fast forward, here we are, and we got Space Force. Space Force was in the news this month.
It was. That's
just the other day.
That's December's news.
Yeah, it is. I guess I should have put it in my notes, but I didn't.
They're going to be Guardians.
Guardians. They're Guardians in space. And their logo looks like Star Trek. Is there any more pop culture franchises we can rip off? Like,
well, they can name the station Sword.
Oh my God, the comedy writes itself with this thing. Like, I can't believe it. I guess the only thing that gives this new branch of the armed forces any legitimacy in my mind is that the first actual enlisted Space Force Guardians are having to pass some form of the United States Air Force, their basic training. So there is some military training involved, but man, I can hear the clown car music in my head as these things are So yeah, Space Force. Cool headline though, UFOs being real. I think
so they're not weather balloons.
They are not weather balloons.
They're not swamp gas.
Nope, not anymore. Right. Now, the lead singer of Blink-182 says that they might have released it because of the investigative work that they are doing.
Yeah, he's been...
Tom DeLonge?
Yes.
He's been working on this stuff for like quite a while, to my understanding. So
he's a card-carrying member of the Tinfoil Hat Club.
Yeah, there is that.
I like that club.
They're out there.
Do you guys got any UFO stories, like personal ones?
None as of yet.
No?
I think it was just a kid behind me with a green laser pointer.
Really?
Yeah, I was driving home one night and these green flashes kept coming over the horizon behind me. And I'm like looking around and I'm like,
what is that?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Late night and driving home at like 10. And then there's a car like way behind me, but I feel like every time he crested the hill,
yeah,
and that he was like flashing one of those green laser pointers.
Oh, okay.
But I never saw the laser beam coming from it, but that's when I'm going to do it because that's what my rational brain's telling me
that's
it was.
Fair.
And that's my story.
So when we were, I don't know, it'd been early after my move back to Ontario when I was still, I was like grade school, right? So common friend of ours, Scott, Jeff Welsh, we lived across the street from each other. And so Jeff and I used to toboggan. There's used to be a hill beside Jeff's house. The hill's still there, but they built a house and
right.
So it became unusable. But for years
that was a good toboggan.
Yeah, that sucker was awesome. More injuries on that hill than I care to admit, but this was so much fun. But I can remember, we would go in the middle, not the middle of the night, but we were like
you'd go late.
Kids. Sure, we'd go after dark.
Yeah.
You kind of take your chances, but okay, time to pack it in and go home. And I can remember walking, and it's not even a block. Like you can see from the top of the hill, you can see my parents' house. And I can remember walking home and turning back and looking at the hill. 2 solid lights, not blinking, not moving. One is as red as a red traffic light, and the other one is blue, like a blue Christmas bulb, just hanging in the sky, not moving.
Would they have been the lights on the water tower?
No.
Because it's right behind the hill.
I know that, I drive past the village now and I look at the, for lack of a better word, the fucking kibble that has evolved on that thing. Like, it's more than just a water tower now.
Oh, yes.
There's
people are renting the space.
Sure, there's communications stuff that was never there when we were kids. Was it even tall enough to have a blinking? Because even a cell phone tower, the tops of the cell phone towers are flashing red lights for air traffic. These were like very, very high in the sky, red and blue. Like I know, like it would be easy to make the connection to the water tower, but in my heart of hearts, they were not.
Did you hustle home?
Yeah, with my looking back over my shoulder, almost in a panic, because at 10, 11,
You're getting
I'm
abducted.
fucking freaked out, man.
Abducted and probed.
Yeah. I guess I'm the only one that's got one. Oh, well.
Well, there was that one a few weeks ago that they claimed was the helicopter from Montreal.
What? Did I miss something?
No, Kim was talking about it too.
Shows you how much you listen to your wife.
Yeah. Remember there was the
Not my story to tell.
I tried throwing you under the bus.
No, there was
Shit.
that low rumble when you go.
Oh,
and look,
yes.
and it looked like a solid white light in front of something else.
Yeah, the helicopter one. So that
Yeah.
was the Griffin and the Chinook that were traveling together. But Kim says UFOs, and a lot of people were.
I'd question it.
Well, so the thing is, like, I didn't see it. I read the news, the release, but there were operations being conducted in Quebec, and it's not impossible for them to have swung out from, not Bagotville, from Valcartier, which is just Quebec City. Both aircraft with an appropriate refueling could have made it here, and nobody, having not seen them, I don't know if both aircraft are capable of having a sling load. Could they have been slinging something that was either reflective or lit? It's not impossible.
True.
But
I did see it, and it looked suspicious.
sure.
But I'm not ready to call it a UFO yet.
No? Okay. Well, that would be an interesting one to follow up on to see if there ever was. Because I remember locally, local news agency, the 411 lady, she tried to...
You can remove the word news from that.
well,
I shouldn't be so harsh.
I don't want to disparage anybody needlessly, but I definitely would say that there are some issues with the quality of, air quotes, journalism that comes out of that. But she tried to do a story on it. She printed a national defense media release that didn't really, it didn't really say anything other than there were operations being conducted in Quebec. And so then that sparked this whole like conversation about how does a military operation in Quebec affect Bob Cage in Ontario? I'm like, well, because they're aircraft and they could fly, dude. That's how. But anyway, just,
Michelle tells stories. She remembers when she was young
yeah.
that they would do training exercises and the big helicopters would come across where her parents live.
I totally believe it.
Fairly low.
Yep.
And that was a household of 3 girls in bikinis in the pool. And
Yep.
they would kind of hover there and kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she remembered like middle of the day and they'd be like looking up. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But even in my own experience, like, I mean, I was in Petawawa for 8 years and we did stuff as far away. Of course, everything we did was by land, but we did stuff as far away as Bancroft. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, that's 2 hours away. So it's well within the realm of possibility. And as a reservist, when I was a reservist in the 90s, well, I mean, you're all over the place because you train kind of where you live. Not all training is done on the confines of a national defense establishment. It's done out in the public. A lot of it is. So not beyond the realm of possibility. But like you say, Andy, still has that air of suspicion about it where, yeah, we can't be 100% sure.
Yeah, it was very dark.
So anyway, my point is I would look forward to some form of follow-up on that if it ever comes to light. I'd like to know what the official answer to that is. Right on. Where are we now?
We're at May.
May. Cool.
Murder hornets.
Oh, I thought you were just going to stop at murder.
Murder. No, murder hornets spotted in the U.S. These suckers are bigger than 2 inches, and they're killing our natural honeybees, damn them. So not only are pesticides killing our honeybees, these murder hornets come in and just chew a hive to death and then lay their larvae in it and take off.
Do we know where they're
an invasive species. I did not do enough of my research. They're coming.
Are they South American?
Yeah, they're making their way. They're not Brazilian bees, but there's something else that somebody brought over to try to.
Right. So this isn't like when they brought killer bees, African bees, because that's the proper title. Like African bees came from Africa, and they thought, African bees would be really good for the honey industry because African bees actually produce more honey, but they ended up killing off the regular honeybees.
Yeah. No, so this is an invasive species that's making its way north due to climate change.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, that's exactly what I was going for, was like, hey, all you deniers out there, open your fucking eyes.
Well, that's like all these things, right, that are progressing north, and the things in the north that are progressing to the south, right? It's but yeah, apparently they're huge, and if you disturb a nest and you as a human being take several stings, it's enough to actually cause death. Yeah.
So how many layers of tinfoil does my hat have to be to protect me from the murder hornet?
Murder hornets and the UFOs? I don't know. At least three ply.
3-ply tinfoil to protect you from the murder hornets.
Shiny side out.
Yeah, that's
Apparently, officially, they're Asian giant hornets.
Oh, so they are Asian.
So they're imports.
Oh boy.
Full-on imports.
Okay. But still, they're coming, like, I'd like to know what their range is over there, because you can't tell me that they're like they gotta have like a dormant time of the year, right? And I mean, like southern Canada, I mean, there was wasn't there a Canadian recently, like in British Columbia?
I think they found like dead ones,
like a carcass,
right? No live sightings in Canada,
right? But I mean, it didn't. The likelihood that it was not brought here in its dead, like it flew here and then probably from weather, like climate.
Oh my God, I'm in Canada. It's
yeah,
cold.
It's fucking cold here. I did not bring my sweater. Oh, murder hornets. All right, what do we got here? May. Here's one that I remember Aunt Becky. Dear sweet Aunt Becky from Full House. Turns out Aunt Becky tried to buy her kid's way into college and she got caught for it. So,
She did.
Yeah. So May 22nd, Lori Laughlin and her husband, Massimo Giannulli, pleaded guilty in their college admissions cheating scandal. The admission of guilt was part of a plea deal with the prosecutors. They both pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud, while Massimo also pled guilty to honest services wire and mail fraud. That was a major switch for the former Full House actress and her designer husband, who back in 2019 had initially pled not guilty of paying a $500,000 bribe to get their daughters into the University of Southern California as crew team recruits, despite neither girl participating in the sport. And my only question on that is, what the hell is crew team?
I think it's like rowing.
Oh, well, that would make sense. Rowing crew
I
team?
think they had like photoshopped photos of the girls in the boat. I don't know.
That's
fake
so
news.
bad.
And I don't think either of them were really studious girls. Like,
So
I don't
bad.
know if they really wanted to be there, but mom and dad did.
I guess so. I got two more for May, so I'm going to go, and I'm going to read them both because these are great. Do you want weird or weirder? Weirder. Okay. This one slipped past me back in May, and I didn't realize that it was happening, to the point where I had to corroborate this one to make sure that, is this still a thing? Because coronavirus has like wreaked havoc with everything entertainment, right? Production schedules are thrown to the wind, and as we know, with the Hollywood release schedule, the next foreseeable several months of movies are pretty much going to home streaming services. Back on May 5th, NASA, in conjunction with SpaceX, announced that they were working with Tom Cruise on the first film to be shot in space aboard the International Space Station. This film is presently untitled, but it is said to be a Universal project directed by Doug Liman, who did Edge of Tomorrow, and it carries a $200 million budget. So I'm like, that can't be real. That can't be real. But then, you hear the word Tom Cruise and you go, well, wait, it's Tom Cruise. It could very well be real,
for
right?
sure, right? And there's obviously a real interest in the space station and space and returning to space. And what better way to drive that machine than...
Well, a film.
Mm-hmm.
And not a documentary film, but like...
Hollywood propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. So I bounced ahead and I kind of looked for some other headlines. And more recently, there was something about the SpaceX, their launch schedule. I guess you can find it. And they were talking, or there was a tweet or some post about how, what is it, the vehicle, the Dragon Phoenix or whatever, their reusable thing.
Boosters, yeah.
They already have a manifest for for space tourist flight to the ISS, and Tom Cruise and the director are listed as passengers with an empty third seat to be announced. Probably a cameraman.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so the last thing I read said that this thing is still on for 2021.
That's cool.
So, I mean, this could go amazingly good or horrifically bad.
I mean, anytime I think you put civilians in a non-civilian space, but in this day and age, is it really needed? Like, I feel like when you tell me somebody's in space in a movie, I can believe it because look, they're floating around and the wire work is
I
good.
look at a great example of that was the Sandra Bullock movie, Gravity.
Right.
Completely immersive. I totally bought into it that they were in space.
Yeah.
But as soon as you say Tom Cruise is going to space, I mean, you automatically are like, Tom Cruise go there. He's going to tell everybody he's flying the fucking ship. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there's a reason, like there's precedence for that. Like for Mission Impossible 6, the last one, he learned to fly helicopters for it. He went out and became a pilot, so he could do all this stuff, right?
But he does his own stunts.
Well, and this is it,
the
right?
Motorcycles
So
and this and that, and yeah.
How far is Tom Cruise willing to go for a movie in space? Like, what is he gonna do? For the next level of bragging rights.
He's going to join Space Force and become a guardian.
He's going to become a guardian. He's going to be their
Guardian Tom Cruise.
Yeah, honorary Colonel Cruise. I can totally see it. So that was weirder. Now do you want weird?
Of course.
Okay, so there's a SpaceX connection. So
I got it. Yep.
Back in May, Elon Musk and his girlfriend, who happens to be from Canada, who I've never heard of before this, by the way, Grimes?
She's an artist. She's
she?
a singer. Yep.
Apparently. They had a son. And the newborn quickly became a trending topic after the Tesla and SpaceX CEO announced the child's name. To the point where there was some disagreement between the two of them actually how to say it. So he had gone on the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan I listened to the clip today, completely laughed at him, like as he was trying to mumble through what the whole thing was. And he spelled it all out. And for those of you who have not seen this child's name, like, what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow has nothing on this, naming her kid Apple. Like, that is tame compared to this. It's like X, and then there's like a symbol thing. It's like an A and an E stuck together with another A hyphen the number 12. So the actual pronunciation, and this is from the mouth of the father, this is not me making this up, it's X-A12. A12 being the precursor to the SR-71 Blackbird, so a prototype aircraft. Don't ask me where any of the other things come from. And then they actually, I didn't put it in my notes, but actually went a little bit further than that. It turns out they actually had to change the registration of the child's birth because in the state wherever the kid was born, they don't actually allow certain characters.
Symbols?
Yeah, certain characters. So the AE thing was fine. They were allowed to keep that, but it was the 12. So they were not allowed to use the number 12 in the child's name. So it's still 12, but it's now like Roman numeral VII.
You know what? Poor kid.
Because
right?
Roman numerals are cooler. Well, you know what? The Ash thing,
Ash.
like, I'm sure in that kid's circles, it'll be Ash.
Ash.
Oh, I guess so.
Now he's running SpaceX. Maybe he's running a cloning program.
Oh my God.
This is the prototype child?
Maybe. And it grows up to look just like Elon.
Maybe.
It's got a hot wife.
Is she, though?
She's attractive.
Certainly none of the photos I saw would corroborate your story.
No.
Maybe, but again, my own personal taste, I have to tell you, my own confirmation bias tells me, I'd go back to the $200,000 Pamela thing for that, like versus Grimes. Because when I hear the word Grimes, you know what I think of?
Dirty.
Yeah, grimy. Like,
I don't think she does herself any favors in how she dresses.
It's like there's a Marilyn Manson quality to her makeup skills.
Right, but you take the makeup off.
Are there any photos with it off?
I'll work on it.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, I have a dirty connection.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. From UPI.com. Korean soccer team apologizes for sex dolls in the stands.
Wow. So is this North Korea? South Korea? The Democratic side?
I believe so. Seoul.
Oh, yeah.
So May 18th, the professional soccer team in South Korea apologized after these quote-unquote mannequins were used to fill the seats during a game, but they were later identified as sex dolls.
You can't tell me someone didn't know that at the time they were going to get these things.
Oh, the team said that there was a misunderstanding with the supplier, but the officials had assured them they were not for sexual use.
So, of all of the pro sports leagues, in all of their coronavirus kind of things that they've been doing, like, was it the NHL that did the you can get your face on an iPad or something on the seat, and all of that sort of like so
wrestling does a live
stream.
Right.
I think
they did cardboard cutouts for baseball. And
how did we make the jump from like be there virtually to sex doll?
I think it might have been a promotional thing, because apparently some people spotted banners on some of the dummies that reference adult websites.
Oh boy.
So product placement maybe?
So Scott has just flashed a photo of Grimes, sans makeup. And while still not my cup of tea, that is a much improvement over anything I saw today.
I think, too, she definitely has that edgy look where when she is in makeup, I feel like she's got a lot on.
I think you're right. And I mean, I'm not taking away from anything that this woman has done and any achievements that she may have. But strictly from my sensibilities as a cisgendered male,
you're allowed to have that opinion.
Not attractive to my sensibilities.
What you're crawling into bed into tonight?
My wife.
Right. That you find attractive.
I do. I love her very much. And not just because I'm looking at another woman on an iPad right now.
That's all right.
She's ugly, babe. She's ugly.
But this questions the thing of like people that used to put sex dolls in their car so they could go into the car.
HOV lane.
Yeah, right. Be like, I'm with him or her.
Yeah, really. It's all. What is it? It's like fucking. It's airplane. The autopilot.
But you know what? Good on them. You know what?
They tried something.
I mean, the stadium was empty, right?
Yep.
Why would you not? That's fun.
Butts in seats, man.
That's fun. That's humorous. Who's gonna notice?
And like they said, they're not intended for sexual use.
Were they naked or were they dressed?
Oh no, they were clothed.
I wonder,
Absolutely. So other than this,
yeah,
how would you ever known what it was? I mean, right? It's
for all you people who are listening, FYI, Scott's got a great cocksucker's cramp. He just showed me.
I was showing you my donut hole. My donut hole mouth. Yeah.
So wait a minute. The team purchased them or the stadium purchased them?
The team purchased them.
I wonder what they did with them after. They probably still have them, right? Because I mean, we're still dealing with everything. So I mean, there's no huge sporting events, anywhere.
Well, as long as everybody was wearing a mask when they used them.
Yeah.
Or they found a glory hole.
I guess.
Those are all approved.
Approved, yes, they are. Glory holes. Health Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Health Canada. Glory holes. Never thought you'd hear those two terms together. Oh, all right. We just hit June. We're here. We're hitting the summertime.
June 23rd, local news. Tornado swoops into Sturgeon Point, picks up boathouse, and moves it up the hill.
Hey, man, I thought I left the boathouse down at the shore yesterday, and I woke up this morning.
Yeah, it's up the hill. So, a couple different videos online of definitely a funnel cloud touching the lake, moving towards the shore, and thoroughly...
was it in Sturgeon Point? Because I thought, was it not Hickory Beach?
Oh, now you got me. Maybe
That's okay, because I could be two different things, because I know some people that live in Hickory Beach, and they were saying... similar, like, relocating of structures without like completely discombobulating the structure,
right?
Like pick it up.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was.
Who knows? I don't know.
Anyway, that happened in June.
Yes. So on that note, do we need a remake of Twister?
No.
Twister Part 2.
Apparently, Gerard Butler's got a new disaster movie out, and apparently it's getting reviewed pretty well.
And what's the disaster?
I'm going to have to look it up. I just read this yesterday. I guess ultimately, is the disaster movie still a viable format? Like, Twister obviously is sort of the granddaddy of them all. And then you have like it almost seems like the studios for that period of time where they were like flavor of the week, you would get like 2 disaster movies of the same flair. So you got Volcano on one hand, and then you get Dante's Peak, both kind of volcanic movies. And then you had your Armageddon came out the same year that Deep Impact came out, and they were like the asteroid collision extinction level event movies. And then what did you have? 2012 came out, and then what's the one that was an ice age?
Oh, Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow, and they had similar themes with this massive climate shift sort of overnight.
It's weird how they decide that, and all of a sudden the same year 2 different studios put out.
Maybe they sold the script to 2 different studios.
Well,
and just alter
you
it
never
enough.
know. I'm gonna get you the Gerard
All right,
Butler thing.
you're googling. What was yours, June, Andy? We're gonna skip West.
My June is the cicada invasion that wasn't.
And cicada are
Those crazy little bugs that just swarm and destroy.
and they whistle.
It's more of a
Hum?
yeah, I'd say a hum than a whistle. But
Right.
yeah, apparently they were supposed to come out every 17 years, and they were predicted that this was supposed to be it, but
No go.
no go. Failed prediction.
I feel like a lot of predictions get failed. Like, right?
Cicadas, we hear them every year. They're the things that vibrate the wires. Whee! The bug that sits on the wires and you get that pinging sound off of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it the wires that make the noise or the bugs?
I think it's them.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong. But I do associate that noise with them.
Well, it might be a different one because apparently these ones spend 17 years underground
Okay, so maybe
before,
it's not cicadas.
waking up and going for an invasion.
Maybe you're thinking of June bugs.
Maybe. The Gerard Butler movie, by the way, is called Greenland. And John Garrity, his estranged wife, and their young son embark on a perilous journey to find sanctuary as a planet-killing comet hurtles toward Earth. Amid terrifying accounts of cities getting leveled, the Garrity's experience the best and worst in humanity as the countdown to global apocalypse approaches zero. Their incredible trek culminates in a desperate and last-minute flight to a possible safe haven. Came out in August of this year, but apparently it's been reviewed fairly well. It's got a 6.3 on IMDb and has a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
It wasn't directed by Roland Emmerich, was it?
No, I don't think so.
That's kind of his forte.
But it does have, so apparently the disaster movie is still kind of viable.
Especially when you got The Rock in it. San Andreas.
Yeah, that's right. He's just going to punch a fault line and save the world.
That's right.
We're still in June, aren't we?
We are in June.
Oh, I've got a couple for June. What have I got here? Oh boy, more Me Too stuff. June 17th, Danny Masterson from That 70s Show and later The Ranch was charged with forcibly raping 3 women between 2001 and 2003. According to the LA Times, the former That 70s Show actor was accused of raping a 23-year-old woman between January and December 2001. The district attorney also charged him with raping a 28-year-old woman in April of 2003 and a 23-year-old woman between October and December of the same year. The alleged crimes occurred in Danny's Hollywood Hills home. An arraignment was scheduled for September and then delayed until November, and now it's delayed till God knows, and the case is ongoing. But hey, Me Too, unsubstantiated claims, but, everybody got on board, and that guy's got no career now. Everybody separated themselves from him.
He was good in The Ranch.
He was good in The Ranch, and did you watch The Ranch, Andy?
I have not.
No. Okay, so not going to spoil it for you, but you have to think on some level, the way that show was written, you watched it right to the end, right, Scott?
Yes.
Did you not think that by the end of The Ranch that they had still left a door wide open for him, even up to and including the last season to come back?
100%.
They totally did. So I think, Ashton Kutcher, former castmate, also a producer on the show, I think probably had something to do with that. That, somebody on the show still believed in him enough that if he could get his shit squared away, that he could have come back. And it would have been one of those back from the dead.
Yeah, it would have been like JR's dreaming.
Faked his own death kind of thing, right? Which I, on some level, was kind of hoping for. But hey, Dak Shepard,
good.
I liked
good
him.
replacement.
He was good. Yeah, good replacement.
Yep.
The other news I pulled out from June, in the country music world, we had 2 significant name changes. Lady Antebellum dropped the Antebellum because of its pre-Civil War slavery connotations and just became Lady A, a choice that would haunt them a little bit later on because they got litigated by by a singles performer who also goes by Lady A. And then the Dixie Chicks, they dropped the Dixie part to become just the Chicks.
I mean, I've said this before, right? It's history and connotation. But I mean, right, we've seen it again this year with a lot of sports teams dropping, there's no more Chiefs.
Yeah,
there's
Indians.
No more, there's the Braves.
Yeah. The Braves, the Indians.
Right, and
Canucks. Even the Canucks who dropped their logo.
I did not know that.
The Indian head logo.
The Canucks.
Yeah, years ago.
I was thinking, when I think Canucks, I think of...
the hockey team.
Yeah.
Did they not have an Indian head at one time?
No, I don't know.
Tells you how big of a sports fan.
Well,
I thought that
true.
was the Atlanta Braves, or maybe
the Braves had. That was Chief. They had a name for him too,
for sure.
Chief Wahoo. I think it was Wahoo.
But yeah, you know what? And it's good. It's moving forward, as we said, right? It's a very woke time.
I think the other one was the Washington Redskins.
Washington Redskins is another one.
Yep.
Locally, Halliburton, the high school in Halliburton, they dropped it. They were Redskins forever.
They were Redmen.
Red Men, and now they are Red Hawks.
Correct.
Or Red Tails?
I think maybe.
Red Tail Hawks? Hawks, anyway.
Yeah. So, right, good. It's good. It's moving forward. As I say, maybe it shows my age.
This is my own opinion. This is not the official position of the show by any means. I am all for woke culture, for being aware, and for promoting healthy dialogues. I am dead set against erasing history.
That's my...
We saw it here in Canada with the renaming of anything, all the disassociation with Johnny MacDonald. And sure, guy was a bastard every much, as the Confederates in the United States, for wanting to own slaves. And I get it. Owning slaves was horrible. At the same time, if you're going to topple these monuments and you're going to dismantle them, you can't destroy everything, because that is effectively,
if you forget the
rewriting
past,
history.
You're doomed to repeat it.
Right. So we need to make sure that we're holding on to this stuff, and we're actually putting it in a place where it's going to get seen, and people are going to get it in the proper context as a learning what not to do. Otherwise, we, like you say, we run the risk of repeating it. Nobody wants that. We want to move forward, not backwards, people.
Anything more in June?
No, that's my June.
Okay, moving forward, July. Long Weekend Debauchery begins on the 3rd annual R. Scott Bender. Enjoyed the company, missed Midnight Madness. So this was a socially, responsibly, 6
feet apart, all
socially distanced gathering
Yep.
of like-minded bubble people that happens at Wes's. And good times were had. Some beverages were drank.
Our civic long weekend garden party, as I've taken to calling it. It's become a tradition at our place, and we love to do it. COVID kind of put a damper on it this year, killed our go walkabout that we would have normally done, but it was still a good time. Lots of outdoor activities and backyard games and swimming and barbecues, and God, I can't wait to get back to it in a regular sense.
Yeah, it takes so much away when you, as you say, you have to think about everything before you do it.
Yeah. Oh boy. So what do we got here? I got a couple of deaths. We lost Kelly Preston in July. That's John Travolta's wife of 28 years. She had a 2-year battle with breast cancer, but kept it completely secret. So it literally went from we haven't heard from them to she's dead. And then we also lost Regis Philbin the same month. Regis died of natural causes just shy of his 89th birthday. He had a 60-year career in television, memorably including long runs hosting Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I got to say, I think some of my favorite Regis Philbin moments were the times when he would, I mean, clearly he had a great relationship with David Letterman, and several times over the course of Dave's shows, Regis would like bomb the episode and just show up. Clearly it was all planned, but the studio audience and the home audience had no idea. And so he would run up and down the aisles like dressed as like the Easter Bunny throwing out candy, like just bizarre stuff, right? But total showman, right? And that brings me to the weirdest one of the month. And if you were unaware of this, like you wouldn't, well, maybe you would believe it. I mean, this kind of falls in the, yeah, how crazy are they? But July 4th, Kanye West announced that he was running for the president of the United States. Following the announcement, Kanye spoke to Forbes about his platform, and it was quite the wide-ranging interview. He said that he no longer supported President Donald Trump because he caught that Trump hid in the bunker during a Black Lives Matter protest. Kanye, who's running on the birthday party, yes, it's a real thing, admittedly did not have a foreign policy or a tax plan. Speculation soon emerged that the rapper-designer was having a bipolar episode, which, in fact, he truly is, which wife Kim Kardashian West later seemed to confirm in a post on her Instagram. While many wondered if the whole thing was a publicity stunt, Kanye proved them all wrong, officially filing paperwork with the Federal Elections Commission, stating his intention to run for president, and he got his name on the ballot in Oklahoma despite missing the deadline in several other states. On July 19th, he held a rally in South Carolina that was widely viewed as a disaster as he criticized abolitionist Harriet Tubman and revealed that he and Kim initially wanted to abort their eldest child. At one point, he'd even said that Kim might want to divorce him afterwards, something that he later tweeted that he'd been trying to do for months. Kanye didn't get enough signatures to qualify for the ballot in the state, and national polls showed that he would only get 2% of the vote in a general election anyway. And then during the following week, Kanye went on a tweet and delete run criticizing mother-in-law Kris Jenner, claiming Kim tried to get him involuntarily committed to a mental hospital and more. He later publicly apologized to his wife on July 25th, and that same weekend briefly visited a hospital near his home in Wyoming. Oh, Kanye.
It just shows you when you have money.
And you have mental health issues.
Well, right. And he has people behind them that are willing to have his money spent. And,
sure,
you know, you just lose control.
Both of the Wests appeared, the Dave Letterman connection here, strangely enough, both of them have appeared on Letterman's new show, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. And they've both alluded to there being health issues, and that, you know, on the Kanye episode particularly, he had talked about how, you know, finding God and his church, the gospel choir that he leads in church every Sunday, and that he is being well taken care of now. And Kim, who apparently has this huge, it's not philanthropic sort of interest, but she has a big interest in like amnesty.
Yes.
For like criminals who
wrongfully accused so, or people that have been over, you know, simple drug charges and got...
That's right. Simple possession charges for a life sentence.
Yes.
Yeah, like stupid stuff. So she's been working very diligently with the administration to help try and overturn some of those. So good for them that they got their poop in a scoop, as it were. But yeah, that's up there with the Tom Cruise headline. Like, does it get any weirder? Anyway, that's my...
You know what? I didn't mind it because it changed the view.
The face of the election?
Yeah.
For what, a hot second.
Yeah, but it was something different, and be like, well, could he do worse than Trump?
Oh. Does anybody want to imagine an America run by Kanye West?
Now, here's the problem, right? And I'm a firm believer in, you know, you surround yourself with the right people and you listen to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You can still have a good
run.
A good run. It's when you don't listen to your experts and create your own policy, or don't follow your policy and do things on the fly, that things go bad.
Thank God that there are checks and balances in place to prevent an individual from doing those things.
Could you imagine? How many times do you think Trump asked for the briefcase with the nuclear code? Yeah, give me the football. Yeah. I guarantee you, once he's out of the White House and 10 years go by, somebody's going to write a book. And there's going to be, he asked 6 times.
There's going to be a lot of people make a lot of money writing books with his name in it.
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
He's at least half a dozen times that he's asked for that.
Here's another one. This is another December news item that I didn't pick up on, but just the notion that the possibility of declaring martial law over this election was considered in the last few days. That it's come to light that, he had actually asked his people, like, can I declare martial law and invalidate the election and have it redone with the military supervision? No, you can't do that. So, yeah. Checks and balances to prevent any one person from doing, like, the craziest of crazy shit.
Well, he's not out yet.
God. Well, that's true. That is true. All right, so maybe, Andy, is your July as crazy as mine was?
I don't think so. It's a little crazy, but it's not that crazy. Some people received unexpected packages from China.
Okay, yours is way more crazy.
Containing seeds.
I remember this.
And people were informed, do not plant them.
Yeah.
But report them.
Were they actually, so these were seeds, were they shipped to Canada? This is in Canada, right?
No, it's in the States.
In the States.
Washington, Virginia, Utah, Kansas, Louisiana, Arizona, and Texas.
So were the seeds identified, the species?
Some of them are.
Yeah.
They were initially showing up in tiny bags marked jewelry.
Interesting.
But
invasive species is a big deal, right? Not to go back to murder hornets, but like there's a prime example. And now you're talking invasive like plant species. What are we potentially talking about, and what is it going to do to crops or like just native plants in general?
Mm-hmm. Crazy stuff.
Well, that was July, wasn't it? Yeah, July. On to August.
Wes and Scott guest spot on Dawes Tales, and the itch begins in earnest. Can we put a podcast together ourselves? Spoiler alert, we can. So, yeah.
At least the 2 people listening know that anyway.
Yeah, we go to Peterborough and sit down with a friend of mine and kind of chit-chat with them. And I think we felt like the old dogs that day.
Because we were.
We were the old dogs talking. And they're trying to plan a trip to Cuba, and we're telling them all these things that seasoned pros like us would do or not do. And
boy, they were hanging on like bated breath. Like they were really into the advice that we were giving.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really did. And that was sort of, we got into the car on the ride home, and you kind of, right, we've said this story before.
I know, yeah.
You're like, we could do this. I'm like, 100%.
We had both. I had guested on a show, like a few episodes of a show, like the year prior, like in 2019. And I found the whole thing to be fascinating then. And I wasn't even like the host. I was just guest, but I was so like, yeah, I'm in. I'll do what you want me to do. Yeah. I was really excited about it. And then that kind of dried up, right? And then I didn't really think about it again until, over beverages, I think over several months. And we had, even the girls, like, as we were sitting around shooting the shit, and they were like, you guys can be kind of funny. Like, you guys say funny things. Why don't you guys do your own podcast? And we're like, I don't know. Why don't we? I don't know. And then, like you say, the call came.
Yeah. And then once you sit down and you see what, somebody can kind of piece together, and, you're like, okay, well, that's not monetarily.
Yeah, it wasn't prohibitive.
No. And right. And thank goodness you have a connection with Andy, and he has an ear for editing and an eye for the artistic. And it's been a very good collaboration. It
has been. It's funny because in my August notes, I said Sawcast Productions was born. And, for those of you who've been following us all along, you guys already understand what we are. Sawcast is our parent organization that produces all of our shows. And we're actively looking for additional shows to produce. So if you've got a podcast idea and you think that you'd be good behind the microphone, again, you can get a hold of us through any of our social media channels, either through Facebook you get a couple ways to reach us there. You can go directly to our production house, Sawcast Productions. You can get us through this show, Hangin at the Barbershop, our sister show, Fandom Power, or you can email us at any of the associated email addresses, and they will all go to the same inbox. We'd love to hear from you and get you on the mic and see what you got. So yeah, August. Some interesting news in August for me. Canadian connection here. Ryan Reynolds bought into the, what is it here? Aviation Gin. And it's funny too, because the thing, where is it? Did I get the number? There's this like stupidly crazy number of what the company is worth and what he's managing.
Yes, he bought it pretty
Here it is.
cheap.
The deal was worth $610 million with a $335 million payment up front. Despite the sale, Ryan will still have an ongoing ownership interest in the gin. And as news of the deal went public, Ryan had said in a statement, quote, "A little over 2 years ago, I became an owner of Aviation Gin because I love the taste of aviation more than any other spirit. What I didn't expect was the sheer creative joy learning a new industry would bring. Growing the brand with my company, Maximum Effort Marketing, has been among the most fulfilling projects I've ever been involved with. I want to thank Diageo for their incredible team and passion. We're so excited for the next chapter of Aviation Gin, which I promise will require just as little reading." Yeah, so I mean, Ryan Reynolds is not the first person to diversify that way. I think of Sammy Hagar of Van Halen fame, who wisely invested in his Cabo Wabo tequila and then sold it for he made more money in the tequila business than he ever made as a musician. Let's put it that way, right?
Well, that's right. And I mean, they have to do something with their money and invest it. But I mean, like currently, I know you're not a fan, but Post Malone is making a rosé.
Wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, and right, everybody. I mean, right. It doesn't take much to, I've got money and I'd sure like to invest in this vineyard or these, whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? They've got the interest and right. McGregor's got proper 12 whiskey.
As in Conor McGregor.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not just a mouthpiece.
No.
He's a mouthpiece who can back it up.
Yeah.
Did you see the trailer for the Croods?
The new Croods?
Yeah.
I haven't sat down to watch it, but I mean it's come up like in my feed a few times and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to stop and take a look at that," but I haven't yet.
Well, there's a specific one that has Ryan Reynolds sitting down to tell you about it, and he's saying,
no.
they drink juice, and you know what goes great with juice?
Yeah.
But that's for
awesome.
adults.
Oh, wow.
Good. Right? I like stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. What else we got going on? Oh, franchise Viagra himself, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, confirmed that he and some business partners, which included his ex-wife and manager, Danny Garcia, purchased the XFL for virtually nothing. They bought it for $15 million. The Professional Football League debuted in 2001 and folded only after a single season. But earlier this year in 2020, the league was resurrected, but after just 5 weeks of games, the COVID pandemic hit, which proved to be the league's death sentence. In April, the league filed for bankruptcy. Dwayne says that he plans to bring the league back. Anybody watch the XFL? Anybody a fan?
I remember it.
Indoor football. Vince McMahon, WWE kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, right, every team was sort of a hero or a heel, right?
Yeah.
Almost
Some of the theatrics of WWE at the time brought into football, which is kind of weird because I don't think it translates very well. Where you have entire teams of people.
Vince thought he could do it.
I guess so. And then, what? Does that turn into the Running Man? And do you know what I mean? Just how absurd does it have to be? But then again, with Dwayne Johnson at the helm, and I mean, he tells his story about having, $20 in his pocket, in Calgary trying out for the Stampeders and then getting cut from the Stampeders and it being the best thing that ever happened to him, right? So full circle moment for him coming back to football in a major, major way. Yeah, maybe it's just the natural extension from doing Ballers. I don't know. But we shall see later if the league does, in fact, get up on its feet again. But if anybody's going to do it, franchise Viagra. He's your man, I guess. What else? Oh, last one here. Simon Cowell, poor soul, broke his back. Broke his back at his home riding an electric bike.
How embarrassed would you be?
Well, so I get where I would certainly be embarrassed because that'd be one of those things where you fall off your bike as a kid, right? What's the first thing you do? You jump back up. I'm okay. No matter, I mean, you could broken leg, right? Well, I'm okay. It's just a little thing. And then as adrenaline wears off and then shit starts to set in. But apparently this was like, that wasn't happening. But he did say from the hospital something to the effect of, he tweeted, "Good advice. If you buy an electric trail bike, read the manual before you ride it for the first time." So I guess he's currently considering suing the company for somewhere in the range.
Come on.
Yeah. Somewhere,
For his stupidity.
somewhere to the tune of like 10 million British pounds. So, and then I don't know enough about the bike to say, but I looked it up today and it looks like, can we say trail bike? It does. It looks like a mountain bike, but it's an electric assist bike.
For sure.
And so because it's an electric assist bike, it doesn't have an independent throttle. It's directly connected to the pedal propulsion, right? But there was something, I can't remember what the kilowatt the output is, but like they said, this thing is way, way too powerful. Like it, because of the amount of power that it produces, it would not be legal to ride on the road in the UK where it's made. Right. So I guess what happened was he started to pedal and that immediately engaged the electric motor and it bombed a wheelie on him and boom, down he went and broke his back. Yeah. Poor Simon. Guy's softened over the years, you think?
For sure.
And I don't mean because he, had an injury, not that kind of soft. I just mean his television persona seems to have toned down, I guess, in the last few years.
Too many competitive, angry people.
I guess so. Maybe too many death threats. I don't know. He's another one having kids late in life. Maybe that's what's done it for him.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that's August. What do you got, Andy?
I got one from the National Weather Service.
Hey, the people who like to drop iguanas out of trees.
Right.
Yeah.
They issued a warning for a fire-induced tornado or a fire-nado.
Fire-nado.
Some California residents were put in danger of a fire-nado.
I don't mean to laugh at that. The California wildfires are a horrible, horrible event. And our good friend Tom and his wife Kim out in British Columbia, they go through similar experiences virtually every year because it's not just limited to Southern California. But yeah, you can't help but, fire-nado and envision what this thing looks like.
Yeah, they had a picture of it online. And
I can only imagine.
Pretty scary looking.
Was there a burnt cow flying around in it?
Maybe.
Oh, Twister, I still love you.
Apparently it's once in a lifetime weather conditions made it happen.
Till next year.
This really is, yeah. This really is like the year of years, right? Like for all this weird stuff that's happening. Can't really connect that one to coronavirus, though, can you?
No, not so much.
Good. Can we blame that one on the aliens?
Maybe.
All right. October.
No.
No, September.
Correct.
I wanted to get to my birthday, damn it.
There you go.
Oh,
September 8th. Kardashians announce Keeping Up with the Kardashians will film their final season.
Hate to tell you, but I've never watched a single episode. No, I don't hate to tell you. Pleased to tell you, I've never seen a single episode.
I would say I've seen commercials.
Sure.
But never have I sat down and watched any. I mean, right? We're in the wrong, right? You are, because that family, those women are media moguls.
I guess so.
They're worth more than,
I just
average.
I can't comprehend. It's so that for me, it fits that we've had a similar conversation before about living in a age where YouTuber is a
profession,
is a
viable
professional
career
It's a
option.
viable career option. That's exactly the wording I'm looking for. So it fits in that same space where I look at the kids, right, the Kardashians, as being famous for the sake of being famous. They're famous because their dad was OJ's lawyer. Do you know what I mean? Like, how did we get here?
He's also the greatest Olympian.
Oh, yeah. Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Jenner. But
I guess that's not their dad, though.
the Kardashians'
you're
father
right.
was
Yes.
OJ's lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what did Kim say on the Letterman thing? It was Uncle OJ for years.
Yes,
right?
that is
Yeah.
correct.
Right. So
I thought Johnny Cochran was his lawyer.
co-counsel.
Oh, okay.
Co-counsel. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Or did the Kardashian prosecute? Damn it. I'm so far removed from the case. I don't remember.
I think it was Mark Harmon.
Oh, wasn't Mark Harmon. Mark Harmon is in like summer school Mark Harmon?
Maybe.
Different Mark Harmon. Now we got to look it up. That's okay. September. What else we got? I got a couple. Do you got any more?
No.
No, I got one. Sawcast Productions recorded their first episodes of Hangin at the Barbershop and Fandom Power.
No way.
Yeah, way, bro. And what a great month too, because we were so keen and wanting to get at it. What would we do? We put 3, 4
in the bank,
4
real quick.
Put them in there. Like, okay,
the 0 episode.
Chatting
with Harmony, chatting with Dave. Some quality episodes recorded and kind of smashed it out there.
Yeah. I enjoyed the whole. I still am too, enjoying this whole podcasting process and learning more as I do more, and working on my mic technique and writing my show notes and making sure that things are rolling the way that they I feel like they should be. Right. I feel the more I do it, the more professional it is, and again, we're just lucky that we have a good team and we all mesh together in such a way that's allowed us to put out what I feel is a pretty good quality product. And I said this pre-show before you got here. Andy and I were waiting, and I said, I listen to all of our shows, start to finish, and not in some like weird listen to me, ha ha ha, but like, one, I'm critiquing myself internally, like what could I have done better? What could I have changed? And secondly, I'm like, would I want to listen to this if I was just nobody?
Well, guess what? I still laugh at us.
Well, this is it too.
Every week
right?
I have a little chuckle one, right? I'm like, oh, fuck, we're funny.
And that's exactly where I am. I'm like, even on the episodes that I think during recording aren't as good as I think they could have been, the finished product comes out and I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've been very happy. And I would tell you, I think I've listened to everyone at least once.
Yep, me too.
Some of them twice.
Yeah.
I think I've listened to all of the Fandalorians over on Fandom Power and been pretty good. I enjoyed that. And
that's been a bag drive, but I've loved doing every second of that.
You've put so much effort into that.
Yeah. And I mean, the length of the episodes, I mean, we're consistently hitting 2 hours with that show.
Well, Michelle asked me the other day, we were listening to it in the car. We were somewhere waiting. And she's like, do they pick apart every detail or every plot point? And I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. And then they give a little synopsis at the end.
Yeah.
She's like, oh.
I've actually thrown a cautionary out, on some of our social media to say, listen, we are a long form, talk about everything kind of show. I said, so if you're not, if you're of the, I don't want to say it in a negative way, but if you're of the generation that has the attention span of a gnat, if you're the TikToker, Vine, consume your entertainment, in seconds or minutes as opposed to hours, our show's not for you.
No, and I think that's the problem. Some people have really found, they need a 30-minute or 45-minute. And that's not, and even these podcasts.
Yeah. I've
had a few people be like, oh, they're a little long. And I'm like, well, how are you trying to listen to them?
Right.
You need to be going somewhere. You need to put it on and just, but to me, I don't think by any means, and I'm a small digester. Man, it's easy to walk away from and come back.
And then come back and pick
to
it up.
me, I feel like I've never missed a point, and usually most of the players will push you back 30 seconds.
I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it here for people who may be considering checking us out. If you're where The Mandalorian is concerned, like if you're following the show in any way, shape, or form outside of just watching it, like if you subscribe to some of the other media outlets like Screen Rant or Cinema Blend or any of those other similar entertainment outlets, what those outlets are doling out over the course of a week in terms of like their deep dives, we do it all in one shot. So, I mean, if you want to get it all, and really week over week, and Andy, you can attest to this because we follow those articles as they come out. It's like, we got that. Oh, we got that too. We have not missed a plot point.
We beat them at some points too.
Yeah, I think we've legitimately scooped them on a couple of points. So, again, not to toot our own horn, but I'm going to toot our horn because it's pretty damn good.
It's good, yeah.
Did you get a thing on the lawyer?
I did. Marsha Clark was the lead prosecutor.
So
Mark Furman was the detective.
Okay. So the Kardashians' father was the defense attorney?
He was one of them. And
He's one of them. Okay.
Yeah, there was a whole team.
Okay. Well, also in September, actor John Boyega wasn't exactly happy in his happy place while working in Star Wars. Back in 2015, he'd catapulted to fame after playing Finn, the first ever black stormtrooper in the franchise's history. He starred in 2 sequels as well. But in a chat with the British GQ published on September 2nd, the actor ripped Disney for dismissing his role over time. John felt that he was marketed and championed for his groundbreaking character that was ultimately pushed to the side of Disney. He added, quote, "What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience." No. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows. I'm not exposing anything. I gotta say, I agree with him. He was so built up. And I say this as a Star Wars fan too, right? Like, he was so built up as being this, like, he's going to be one of the major players going forward. And he really wasn't. By the time the whole thing, kind of petered out, he was just kind of this, like, oh yeah, I'm there.
Side note.
Yeah. Oh, I thought
No,
you wanted to put a side note in there. I'm like,
He
I'm
was
waiting for it.
He was the side note.
Yeah, he was almost like, yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. Hopefully that he did not shoot himself in the foot, because the other side of that is you've just become part of the biggest science fiction franchise in history and one of the biggest entertainment franchises in history. Do you bite the hand that feeds?
It was still good for his career.
I hope so.
Would he ever got Pacific Rim without that?
Probably not. Here's a better question. Should he have taken it? We just watched the original Pacific Rim last night, and to me, it's still better than the sequel.
For sure.
Yeah. Attack the Block, however, arguably his breakout role. Independent film, fantastic. You should definitely go and check that one out. Andy, we're in September. What do you got for September?
I've got one here. Chuck E. Cheese asks to purchase and destroy 7 billion prize tickets.
Billion with a B.
That would have got you something off the first shelf?
You could have got whatever you needed off that shelf. And I think that was the problem. When they filed for bankruptcy, they had already ordered these prize tickets, and they were in the process of moving to a, card format where you would just get it all on a little digital gaming card, I guess.
Sure.
And
just like a slot machine where you plug your card in.
Yeah. But because they had filed bankruptcy, they wanted to spend some of that money to purchase, make sure these tickets got out of circulation before they could be brought back in and for redemption.
Interesting. Kind of like the Tim Hortons cups coming in during not making it to the stores before Roll Up the Rim, and then all the rims getting ripped up and prizes getting claimed without having been purchased.
Probably pretty
to put
similar.
A Canadian spin on it, eh?
Yeah.
Anybody been to a Chuck E. Cheese?
I have.
Did you go to Chuck E. Cheese when it was still animatronic?
Yes.
Were they as creepy as I remember?
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely were.
I don't know. I still liked it.
Did you?
I did.
It was weird. My most memorable experience at Chuck E. Cheese, besides the shitty pizza, was the arcade. I think it's the first time I can say that I can remember in my life going to a video arcade that was a purpose-built video arcade. And that's where I played the sit-down vector graphic Star Wars game for the first time. Was that a Chuck E. Cheese? Yeah.
Mechanical Rat Pizza and Child Casino.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's like, is that a song title? Because that's what it sounds like.
It's all fresh off the boat.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to have to tune into that.
We're definitely going to have to watch
really
this.
Should.
Look at all the zingers.
The Chuck E. Cheese in Whitby at one point still had one Chucky.
Yeah.
An animatronic one.
Oh,
my God.
Man, I'll tell you this. Once you're on their mailing list, you never get off their mailing list. So if you basically registered your child's birthday, they would send you an email when it was close to their birthday, and you could redeem that email for extra tokens. So me being a cheap dad, I took full advantage of
You had to.
every possible way I could get 5 extra tokens.
Squeeze it out of there.
Yeah.
Go on their website, download the chore calendars. They get you 10 extra.
Yeah. And literally, I still get emails that, Brandon's 22. And they're like, Brandon's birthday's coming up. Are you coming to Chuck E. Cheese?
So wait, there was a bankruptcy. Is the company now like defunct, or is it like
I think it might be an American thing.
So like the Toys R Us restructuring where the American assets were sold off and the Canadian division stayed?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think. Now, again, I can't tell you that I actually, because we've just had some birthdays. Maybe I'm not, but I felt like for years I got Chuck E. Cheese emails.
But who knows after COVID, right?
Yeah.
I almost, out of a sense of pure nostalgia, just suddenly have this like desire to want to visit one. You know what I mean? Like
by yourself?
I'd go with you guys.
I got kids.
I was gonna say, better take the granddaughters. I don't want to be that creepy guy going by myself.
Kids.
And I don't
okay,
wanna,
so you
don't
know
want to
what?
rain.
In that sense, yeah, I guess so.
Don't want to rain on your parade, but the pizza is awesome now.
Is it?
It is.
Okay,
it's so good.
I think of like when I'm going out for pizza, like, and I mean, I'm not a pizza connoisseur by any means, but like I know what I like and I know what I don't like. Kim loves pizza. Sorry, not Pizza Hut. And I'm like, it's okay. Like it's perfectly serviceable. But like when we go to Boston Pizza, I almost don't order the pizza because it's expensive and it's good. I really, really like Boston Pizza.
You see, I would tell you that's the one thing I hardly ever order from them because I don't enjoy it.
Really?
And it's like, man, why do we come to Boston Pizza? We never order the pizza.
Yeah. Well,
Pizza burger.
It's back.
I saw that.
You know what's funny about that? We eat at Boston Pizza a fair amount because there's a few menu items that kind of fit our weird kind of dietary things that we're doing. But I ordered the pizza burger not too long ago, and even Michelle said, "Oh, did you get the pizza burger?" I'm like, "I did." She's like, "It's good, eh? It's back." I'm like, "What do you mean it's back?"
Where did it
I
go?
didn't even know that it had left. Tells you how often I order the pizza burger, right?
Right.
But it was good though. If anything, I thought it was smaller. Smaller than it had been in its initial.
If it goes away and comes back, for sure it's smaller.
Where's fucking McRib?
It's out.
Is it?
It's advertised on TV right
Is
now.
it?
I don't know
it's
if it's
back
like
right
states
now.
only, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um,
Preform, like, right? The bones are there, but they're meat.
Yeah, they call it
It's prefabric.
riblets.
Ugh.
Riblets. How about, so while we're talking about mythical foods here, did you guys try the Double Down?
Yes.
Did you like it?
It was salty.
I loved it. It was so good. This is the thing too. I went to the KFC that was closest to where I lived at the time, and I walked in. And there was people were talking about this thing. So much sodium. And I walked into the restaurant. I'm like, and they were talking. People in the line were talking about it. So I just walked up and I said to the guy, the guy behind the counter, I said, "I've come to try your mythical sandwich." And he just laughed, right?
And he's like, "I need a Double Down."
Yeah. But the funny thing was, you know how most all the restaurants now, well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of fast food restaurants would put the nutritional information on the back of the placemat.
Yeah.
He grabs the paper placemat and he flips it over and he's like, "Listen," he's like, "I don't know what people are going on about." And he scrolls down to whatever. There's another sandwich on their menu,
Right.
which is a regular menu item had been on the menu for
A decade.
years. Higher sodium content. Chicken sandwich had a higher sodium content than the Double Down. He's like, "I don't know what people are talking about, but because because the chicken is the bun,
Right.
that was this big like, oh my God," right? Yeah.
Good. I did. I did. I wouldn't say it tasted more. And this is the thing. Those are the ones you have to worry about that have high sodium and you can't taste it.
Right.
Right. Because then it's hidden.
Yeah.
It's like, or the sugar or the whatever, right?
Right.
Because that's what gives you that dopamine rush that makes you go, oh. But right, I found it salty.
Oh.
But I love stuff like that. I love like secret like at McDonald's
Right.
when you can like order the McGangbang.
Well, you can do so. Have you actually gone in and actually ordered it like from the person behind the counter?
So it's hard to do now because they're
With
prompting you
kiosks
to go to the
and-
kiosk. And
yeah.
but we used to, like, when Lindsay was the Lindsay McDonald's
Yep.
before the redo,
Yeah.
we ordered all kinds of shit.
So I've done it from the kiosk, but I just ordered. Now I did it in a smaller form where I bought the items I needed to make it. So I bought a sausage and egg McMuffin, and then I bought a McDouble, and I split them apart, and I relayered the sandwich with
Right.
my egg and my sausage and my patties and cheese, and it was quite enjoyable at the time.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know if I'd do it again, but I did. I liked it.
I'm going to throw another one out there for you.
Yep.
Arby's.
Okay.
Go in and ask for all the meats.
All the meats.
All the meats. It is probably taller than my tall boy can of beer. So it is.
So mythical sandwich like that, does it have a mythical price?
It wasn't cheap. It's up there in price. I did. Now this is 5 years ago.
Yep.
When I was eating there quite regularly.
Was that the one down the street from your store?
That is correct.
Nice.
When it was my next door neighbor.
Yeah, so you could just walk across the parking lot.
I encourage anyone that listens to this and ever goes there and gets the baked potato.
Yep.
Ask for the Scott baked potato and see what you get, because I was a pretty consistent baked potato.
Yep.
Loaded baked potato, but no pump cheddar, extra shredded.
No pump, just shredded.
You got it.
Okay.
And they started calling that the Scott potato.
So
I would just be curious if you went in, especially if Colleen, shout out to Colleen, is working there, who's the current manager. She'd probably be able to get you a Scott potato.
So on that note, I just want to ask the listeners, if you guys have got a mythological fast food item that you are particular about, drop us a line and let us know what that's like. And maybe we can do an episode of Hanging at the Barbershop where we recreate mythical food items and do a tasting for an episode. Maybe we can tie that.
I have a heart condition. You know that, right?
Yeah, I have a gastrointestinal condition too, so that'll be fun. Who's driving to the hospital? Andy, drive.
Alrighty. Wait, October.
Woo. Wait, did we get Andy's September story?
We did.
So.
Oh, okay. Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. Mythical food.
He started this.
Mythical food. I'm so sorry. Yes.
October.
My birthday. Whoop.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
Has gone in.
He's like, oh, not anymore.
Yeah. Second heart surgery in 2 years, and he'll be back.
Second heart surgery in two years. Good for him, I guess.
I guess he's taking care of himself in a way. That's good, but it kind of begs that question of, was he going to be predispositioned to this no matter what?
I don't know.
Or is this from all those years of pumping
Well,
iron?
so I was going to suggest that maybe years of training and whatever else he did to his body that we don't know may have contributed to. Like, there's certainly, there's evidence about bodybuilding on the cardiovascular system and, working too hard and what it can and can't do. And I mean, it was a valve replacement.
Yes. Now he's had both. So he's had an aortic and a ventricle.
Pulmonic?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, pulmonic and an aortic valve replacement. So, yeah, I mean, and we've seen him, at least I have recently on some of these, like, we've been watching some of the food documentaries that come up on Netflix and stuff. And he's in one talking about, he actually publicly encouraged people not too long ago to just try 1 day a week. Try a vegan diet 1 day a week. Don't change your whole lifestyle because that's just not feasible. It's not a smart goal. You'll never do it. But he's like, just try it 1 day a week. And he's like, now he's like back then, he's like, I was competing. He's like, I was 250 pounds. So I was getting 250 grams, a gram of protein per pound per day, right? That's kind of what he was doing. That's a lot of protein.
It is.
Yeah. So he's like, now he's like, we're doing it smarter. He's like, now he's like, with the right recipes and the right spices, he's like, I don't miss meat the way that I thought I would. So I don't know how he's doing that because I am a meatosaurus.
At the end of the day, when, yet again, we're going to say when you have money.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe he's cooking himself, but I mean, he has the ability to purchase exactly what he needs.
Yeah.
Take the classes or hire a private chef, or
I think that's more likely the case.
Whatever he's doing, time and effort, because he's, he's a busy man, but still time and effort. You can make anything good, right? I mean, you are putting a lot of effort into your meal prep right now. I mean, right? But when you're an average person, convenience and speed.
It's everything. Time is everything, right?
Right? And, whether when his kids were little, he had a nanny. For sure he had a nanny.
Yeah, because she birthed a child for him.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a nanny, all right, but that's another Schwarzenegger story.
Right, so I mean, right, my hero.
Yeah.
The Bert.
Yes.
He's a pescatarian.
Fish guy.
Month. So just for the month of December.
Really? Just fish for December?
Yeah.
Is that this December or is that
Correct.
every
Current.
December?
No, this is
okay.
current, and yeah. So
Is Rogan and the other guys in on it too?
no,
Like they were.
like Sober October.
Yeah.
No, they kind of things were different this year, so no Sober October happened. And Joe
Who would want to be sober in this hellhole of a year?
right,
though?
and I think that's really what it came down to. And they really didn't sit down and talk about it, and there was no goal put forward. So
No.
and to them, that was half the fun, was the challenge.
Yep.
But I mean, right here we go. Another great show topic.
Oh my God, yeah.
We could throw down some sort of challenge.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
a food challenge.
but
a lifestyle challenge.
we could see who could get the most steps in
I guess so.
a day, or lots of kinds of things.
Why don't we ask the listeners?
Oh.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's say you and I, and under the supervision of Andy, because he'll keep us honest, is we put a poll out on the Facebook and we put some choices out there, and we do it by fan vote. What do you think about that?
Sounds good.
So we'll do a lifestyle challenge. What, say 30 days?
30 days.
30 days. We'll put a couple options out there on the Facebook, and you guys can go there and you can vote. And at the end of the voting period, the number one vote takes the cake. And if we get no votes, then god damn, we're doing something wrong because no one's listening.
That's right.
It means you and I are going to have to vote. That means it'll be one apiece. Andy's going to have to break the tie.
Could you imagine if the girls decided to swing the vote?
Oh shit.
And be like, I think it'd be funny to see him do this.
And you know what I'd say? I'd say it's fucking voter fraud. Instead of be conspiracy. That's why.
Yeah.
To the highest courts.
Voter fraud.
All right. On with October.
So there's a few things in October. Hey, the show you're listening to right now had our first episodes published, and our sister show, Fandom Power, published our first episodes, and they've been bi-weekly ever since. So very happy about that. Jeff Bridges announced that he'd been diagnosed with lymphoma, but he's got a great team of doctors and he's doing well. And probably another big one, I think this one, people are still talking about this one. It's only been a couple of months, but we lost Eddie Van Halen back on October 6th after a lengthy battle with cancer. Not the first time Eddie's battled with cancer. He had tongue cancer years ago, and he had a portion of his tongue removed. I think this time it was throat cancer, maybe. But really sad. Like his son Wolfgang had announced the news on social media. He was surrounded by his family at the Providence St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica when he took his final breath. Really a sad story too, right? I mean, Wolfgang, let's remember here, Van Halen is this it's this mythical entity in terms of the Hollywood kind of music scene, right? They were, arguably, at one time they were the biggest band in the world, right? Kind of right there with Kiss. And, there's been some lineup changes, and that's been, kind of controversial across the fandom and over the last few years. Turns out that prior to Eddie getting really sick this time, that he'd made his peace with Sammy Hagar. And Wolfgang, I guess, on Howard Stern not too long ago, had announced that they actually had a plan that they were working on getting everybody together. Everybody. And they were affectionately referring to this thing as the kitchen sink tour. So, everything but the kitchen sink. And they're like, oh, yeah. So they were going to have all three frontmen come back. So David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, and Gary Cherone from Extreme, who did a single Van Halen album with them back in the,
that's cool, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I got to tell you, I was never a big, I got to go see Van Halen, because for me, I'm very much steeped in the Van Hagar camp. That's where I am. I like early Van Halen with David Lee Roth, but I mean, I've also seen them perform live in the last 10 years, at least on TV and on the internet, and I'm not impressed. I think that Sammy Hagar is a better vocalist, and I think he's a better songwriter, so I gravitate to that aspect of the band more. But if they had pulled this off, I'd have scraped the money together, to go and see it. I'm sure it would have been crazy tour, but I would have seen it for sure. That's my October.
My October, one of the most venomous caterpillars in the United States decided to branch out.
Caterpillar branches out.
Yep.
Da-dum-dum.
The pus caterpillar, or flannel moth,
Okay.
which is native to the state of Texas, was found in Virginia. So
Virginia,
starting
so
to move
north
out.
and east. You say flannel moth. I thought for sure you were going to say Washington.
No.
I thought it came from Seattle, all the flannel.
Nice.
They're very cute. They're covered in like little fur, but
Yeah.
don't pick them up.
I guess hence the flannel aspect of their name. What is it with invasive species or, stuff that can hurt you? Hasn't been a good year for that, that's for sure. So that was October. I guess now we're, moving on to November.
November.
You got one?
Yep. November 23rd in Jasper, Alberta.
Yep.
The municipal government posts a sign not to let moose lick your car. And the idea behind this is they don't want to get them to have a taste for the road salt that's on your car and then come up to the highway.
So, I spent years commuting between Petawawa and here, right? So, I'm no stranger to moose country, and I get all the warnings, especially driving through Algonquin Park, right?
Yep.
You're totally okay, if you see a moose, don't stop for the moose. Don't get out of your car and all that. Okay, first of all, you've got to be stopped for the moose to be licking your car.
Yeah.
Secondly, what did you do to get there for the moose to be licking your car? And thirdly, when they say don't let the moose lick your car, what do they expect you to do?
How are you making it stop? Hello? Please stop.
Go away, moose.
Are they
moose.
suggesting that you wash your car more regularly?
You guys have driven up through Algonquin.
Yep.
And you've seen them. They literally walk out to the center of the road and they stop. Horn blowing. Doesn't matter. If it's not going to move, it's not going to move. So what did they think they were going to do?
Nudge them.
I like it. I like it because it's right. That's exactly why we're picking these headlines.
Oh my God. Okay, I got a good one for November. This one's kind of cool. This is an older story, but the confirmation of this story broke in November. George Clooney actually confirmed this really cool story about a sum of money and his best friends. So back in 2017, his buddy and Casamigos tequila partner Randy Gerber had shared a story about how the actor gave suitcases packed with $1 million to each of his 14 closest pals a few years earlier. But now, in a chat with GQ, George himself has confirmed the wild tale. Quote, I just thought basically if I get hit by a bus, they're all in the will, so why the fuck am I waiting to get hit by a bus? He said in an interview that came out on November 17th, the giveaway happened in 2013. Getting that kind of money in cash was difficult, but he eventually went to a place in downtown Los Angeles for it. As if he was in a movie, he drove away with the $14 million in a rental beat-up van that said florist on the side. The following day, he had his friends over to the house. He's like, I just held up a map and pointed to all the places that I got to go in the world and all the things that I've gotten to see because of them. And I said, how do you repay people like that, he recalled. And I said, oh, well, how about $1 million? $14 million, eh? You want George Clooney as a friend, apparently.
No doubt.
Yeah, really. The other George Clooney news that came out was he said that during COVID and something for the last 22 years, he's been doing his own haircuts with the Flowbee. I don't know how true that one is, but it made me laugh. I was talking about the Flowbee not too long ago. It might even been one of the shows we did where Flowbee came into conversation.
I sucked George's hair up in the vacuum the other day to try to put a pony in.
Maybe that's where we were talking about it. The Flowbee.
It did not do a good job.
No. Yeah, so man, we've all had those lottery winning dreams and stuff. And what do you do? I know lottery winnings in the United States are taxable, but what happens when your friend just hands you a suitcase full of cash?
How do you claim that?
I don't know. It's a gift? Is that income? Is it considered income? If you give me a Christmas card with a $10 bill in it, it's exactly that. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Ugh. Just made 14 millionaires. Good for you, George.
Yeah. Just push them all into another tax bracket.
Yeah. So that's, November was kind of slow. That's my November. Oh, I do have one more for November. Going back to the Royals and Harry and his stripping of his appointments. You know what's really funny about that is he had asked to have a wreath laid on his behalf for the British Sunday of Remembrance, which is like 2 days before our Remembrance Day. And the palace courtiers denied the request. But the funny thing is, you know who did get to lay a wreath that year? Like the British tabloid, like The Sun got to lay one, but he couldn't. So like, huh?
Right.
Yeah. So there was November. What do you get for November, Andy?
I have mysterious monoliths that
Oh
were
my
erected
God.
and then days later removed.
And it's still happening.
It is. Apparently the first one went up in Utah in the Red Rock Desert,
Okay.
but days later it was gone. And then a few days after that, another one was found in northern Romania on top of a hill.
So stuff like this comes up and I go back to like, is this a crop circle conspiracy theory? Like, you know how crop circles were back in the 70s right up until
Now,
and then proven to be like, oh, hoax. It was there a couple of guys with boards strapped to their feet rolling around the farm field stomping the corn down.
well, not all of them.
A good chunk of them.
Some of them were altered on a chemical state.
I look forward to hearing about it in the new show.
Yes. Some of them are admittedly the work of pranksters and artists.
Yeah.
The third one has been claimed by a couple people, but there's something like 87 of them that have popped up.
Has there been any kind of analysis on any of these? Like the ones that are not claimed, like what are they made of? Like,
Not as of yet, I don't think.
interesting.
Because they're just giant silver monoliths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are they like heavy?
Apparently they're somewhere in the area of 400 pounds.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, they're not easily movable.
No, you need a few guys to get it
Sure.
where it's going.
Yeah. Or like a forklift or something.
And some places that are reporting them are actually seeing like a spike in, I don't know, like advertising, I guess.
Interesting.
And in a good way.
Like tourism dollars or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Like I think one's out front of a, not a veterinary clinic, like an adoption center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And because it showed up, their awareness went up and they've
Yeah.
seen a spike in adoptions.
That's interesting. If there's be interesting to see if there's a correlation there for sure.
I think they've started to appear in Canada too.
Didn't you say there was one in Toronto?
I feel like Toronto or Montreal. I don't know.
Sure.
Like I said, doing the research for the show
Yeah.
and searching a couple months, and something came up today
Yeah.
in one of my searches, and it was definitely somewhere in Canada near us.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, it's interesting. It's like anything. It's like, oh yeah, we do these art installs, but it's weird, right? That they're here and they're there and they're abroad and
Yeah.
if they're all the same, it's like, well, how does somebody in Romania get the exact same monolith that
Somebody in Utah gets.
Yeah, monolith or us?
I've heard of like sort of like, I won't call them fan movements or fan campaigns, but I've heard of like grassroots movements where like people will take an object. So like I'll use my coffee mug, for example, and I'll maybe sign it or something, and then I'll mail it to somebody in another country, and then they'll do something with it, and then like take a picture of it, and then they'll send it on to somebody else in another country, and they'll take a picture of it, and then they'll send it to somebody, and it keeps going and going and going. Do we think it's anything like that? Are these things the same few getting moved around multiple times?
But how, and again, how would a simple person
I don't know.
pay to ship a 400-pound
Yeah.
monolith?
No, you're right.
But
Well, it'd be easier to just ship directions. I mean, even via the internet.
on how to
Suppose there's like a site that says, "Hey, you want to build a monolith? Here's
Here's
the blueprint."
the dark web.
Maybe.
Should do an episode on the dark web. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, squirrel.
Maybe.
Any more?
Not that I have for November.
Okay, I guess that brings us to holy crap,
December.
12 months. It's been a long ride. Here we
Just
are in
like that.
December now. We're still in December, so I mean, stuff could still happen after
Right.
this. But where are we at so far?
9-pound goldfish found in South Carolina. On an expert's opinion,
Yep.
they put it back.
What?
So I guess
Why?
I don't know. They were doing a stalking or something scientific
Yeah.
and checking out the species in this pond,
Okay.
and they found the goldfish.
Yep.
And I guess they figured he'd been there long enough that he hadn't adversely affected the
Interesting.
biodiversity, so they put him back.
I suppose if there's no way for that fish to spawn and reproduce, it's going to die out naturally. Is that the thought process?
I don't know.
At some
9
point.
pounds. He's doing okay.
I guess the question would be, what's the lifespan of a goldfish in the wild? You know, I mean, how long do they live in a bowl or in an aquarium? Like,
Can be years.
yeah, at least a couple. I would think that survivability would go up the bigger you are.
Never at my house. Days.
Kim tells me stories about there being goldfish buried out in the yard somewhere. So
Right. But yeah, some kid either flushed it or some kid, or somebody got it and went, fuck, that's 9 pounds. We can't, and just tossed it into the pond
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, for the second time on my list, Tom Cruise makes it again. This time from the set of Mission Impossible 7. If you haven't heard it by now, Tom Cruise went on a bit of a tirade where he essentially scolded a couple of the crewmen working on the film for violating the COVID protocols that were set for the film. And from all accounts, it seems like the public response to that has actually been pretty supportive, because essentially they're filming in an area that was hit. I think they're filming in Italy, right? And we all know how hard that Italy got hit. So, I mean, in order for them to do that, they've had to make certain assurances for them to be able to film again. And I guess, he went off about, like, again, his commitment to the industry and what he's doing. Because he's not just, this is where I kind of drew the comparison. You can't help but make that comparison to when Christian Bale went off on the set of Batman and he just ripped that sound guy, I guess it was, apart. But that's an actor who's getting angry at somebody for harshing their mojo, right? For interrupting the flow. This thing with Tom Cruise, this isn't Tom Cruise, the actor, who's going off on a rant. This is Tom Cruise, the producer, which means that's Tom Cruise, your boss, who's telling you you're violating company policy.
Right.
So did he do it in such a way? I mean, it was profane laced and all the other things that, we think of as horrible bosses being. Sure, maybe the delivery could have been better, but the
Sometimes
message.
that's what's needed.
Well, you don't have to convince me of that. 15 years in the Army, man. You don't think I've been swore at?
Yeah.
He was channeling his character from Tropic Thunder.
I will fuck you up!
Maybe, but yeah. Yeah, Tom Cruise goes off on a rant about COVID, and the world kind of goes, okay. Which was not the craziest Tom Cruise headline of the year. And then I'm going to end on this one because it's been near and dear to my heart. The Disney Plus flagship show, The Mandalorian, just had its season finale this month. I won't say when because it'll be too damning to where we are recording this episode. But yes, so December, the finale of The Mandalorian went off, which saw the return of Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker in a scene-stealing sequence that many media outlets claim to have broke the internet. Mark Hamill's involvement in the show was one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets in recent years, having remained under wraps for an entire year without getting leaked. That's no short of a monumental feat today.
And then he trolled himself.
Holy cow, did he ever.
You see anything good on TV tonight?
Yeah. It's really cool, though. Like Mark had said, like, he had talked about being done with the character and like publicly stating, I'm done with the character. I'll still... respect what it was and what I did and what it means to people. And I love all you fans and all that, but it's like, I'm done. So then he comes back and he does this and it's body doubled, but they've basically taken the face swapping technology, put Mark's face on another actor and then tried to de-age him. And man, the vitriol that's come out of like this whole process of trying to de-age Mark Hamill's face.
So I'd said to you, I wasn't overly impressed.
Sure.
It looks, when I watched it a second time,
Yeah.
it totally looks, it looks good.
It does look good.
It looks like they've cut him out of Jedi
Yep.
and plopped him on there. And I think as we had discussed, TV shows just don't get the budget that movies do.
Yes, exactly.
And like, right. And when you look back what they've done in the movies with Princess Leia and Tarkin, those characters didn't have the screen time.
They didn't.
That this happened.
And
they didn't have the lines.
I participated in an online conversation today about this very subject. And, there was the complaint about, Mark Hamill's CGI was the worst CGI I've ever seen. And I'm like, people who are criticizing the CGI in this television show are forgetting that it's a television show on a television budget, and just because it's Disney, we tend to think that these projects have unlimited money, but they really don't. So my counterpoint was, do these things not automatically come with a built-in sense of suspension of disbelief? Because they sure did in the 70s and the 80s when we were growing up. You automatically went into it, knowing that, okay, this is space opera, so it's not going to be this big realistic thing. And then I kind of further went on to say, like, Star Trek, the senior franchise who's been around for 55 plus years, has been getting away with low fidelity prosthesis on a guy's forehead and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah.
But you give me some, arguably mediocre piece of CGI and people start losing their mind. And I think you've just proven how, like we did in our sister show, our episode on toxic fandom, it just proved positive of how toxic, Star Wars fans can really be about stuff that they hold dearly. But anyway, Mandalorian finale came on, and it was the most magical moment in Star Wars that I've seen probably ever. And I love it so much. I can't wait for it to come back next year. That's it for me, for my 12 months of 2020. Andy, you got one more, don't you?
I've got one more. From the Huffington Post.
Ooh, HuffPost. I like their stuff.
A Michigan man who sued his parents for throwing out his prized pornography collection is now in line to collect a hefty reimbursement sum.
How much? How much?
So the collection itself was apparently valued at around $25,000, and the settlement he is slated to receive is $75,000.
So is this a seeking damages in the amount of, or is this awarded damages in the amount of?
I don't know for sure. I think it's...
And are his parents able to pay for it?
Yeah.
I guess they have until February to
figure
it out.
If you're going to sue your parents and their finance, he must think they can pay it.
Maybe.
That's
bizarre.
That's a lot of lube and movies.
Or, let's face it. We all have like isms within the families, right? Let's say, you really have it in for them. Like, does the lawyer think that they're going to sell their house to pay this off, or like other assets? Do you know what I mean? Like, how ruthless is this guy? Like,
yeah.
Well, according to the court record, it showed that there was 1,605 individual titles of DVD and VHS content.
Yes.
At least 50 sex toys and paraphernalia.
It's the film collection that makes up the bulk of that.
Yeah. Apparently it was 12 boxes of porn. And the parents thought they were doing him a favor.
By getting rid of it.
Yeah. They equated it to a
addiction?
12-box load of crack.
We talked about this before, right? Like back in the VHS days where you'd go and buy a porno movie and they'd be like, what, $50 or $60 for a VHS tape?
Yeah.
Like you average that out over, what'd you say, 25,000 in value?
Yep.
So that's a lot of tapes. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't imagine that the DVDs got any cheaper.
No.
Yeah. Interesting. Hey, buddy, the internet is for porn and it's free.
A box of crusty Kleenex.
Ooh. Socks that do their own walking.
Oh my God. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, his statement on it was this collection was irreplaceable.
On some level, it probably is, because you're talking, if we're going back to VHS, now you're talking like performers who may not even be alive anymore, but are definitely probably not in the industry anymore.
I'm sure a lot of it's been converted over, but not all of it.
No.
I wonder what they did. Like, did they burn it? Did they take it to the landfill?
Well, if it's anything like our house, not funny story, but Kim, who cannot forgive herself for this, inadvertently put out a bag of stuffed toys. And she's almost certain in hindsight that she saw the driver pick up the bag and throw it in the cab of the truck. So, if it was a porn collection and if it was just in the household waste and the garbage guys, and you can't tell me that it doesn't happen, happen to see something that's maybe a little evocative or provocative goes, oh, what's in
Never
here?
made the back of the truck.
That's what I mean. Probably didn't. That'd be my guess anyway.
Made it onto Kijiji. Or I guess it's Craigslist down in the States.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Craigslist for sure.
Sex swing, gently used. Non-smoking, non-pet.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of sex swings,
Yes.
I took your horrible advice and I watched Palm Springs. Not Palm Springs, the Pauly Shore movie. Is it Palm Springs?
Yeah, no, it's House Guest.
House Guest. Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh, come
It's
on.
terrible.
You laughed.
So I will admit that I laughed, but I don't change my opinion. By the time I was done watching the train wreck that it is, I said, who gave this guy money this far into his non-existent career? To me, it's what you would get if you tried to make, like, to me, it was a mashing of Animal House and Porky's as if it was made today. It was just like, it seems so out of time. It was so out of place. Don't get me wrong. Like, it has all the shock comedy value that I guess you could expect from it. But like, again, like, who in 2020, who thought Pauly Shore was going to be a viable bet?
Was it a Netflix of...
It's not a Netflix,
no.
but it's, good Lord. I don't even know. Like, did it go to theaters?
No.
No. Yeah, but it wasn't a Netflix original. That's
No.
for sure.
But
Just
yeah,
so
somebody paid
bizarre.
for it.
Yeah. Lou Ferrigno's in it.
And let's be honest, it was it's trending. It was in like the top 10.
It is. It was like 4, 6. I don't know. But yeah, it was in the. It's in the week of this recording. It's in the top 10 in Canada. That's for sure. So it's weird, like super super weird. I mean, listener beware. Watch at your own risk. I cannot recommend this movie. I know that's not a Scott. You probably can.
I got you to watch it, didn't I?
Well, yeah, as morbid curiosity got the better of me.
I taught you a lesson.
Yeah, but sometimes you go. Listen, I never would have like watched a thing with Bird if we weren't friends. So
Right.
I mean, that I can give you total credit for because he's hilarious. I like him a lot. Can't wait for The Machine. Not The Machine. The Machine when they option that one out and do the
Into a
the
real
film.
movie.
Yeah,
Into his movie.
That's gonna be
Right.
funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was the year in review. Just a quick look back at the last 12 months of what is and what was and what will be the last remaining days of 2020. I guess as we're going on into 2021, we can turn our attention, maybe look a little bit forward and think about resolutions. Anybody going to do resolutions there in the upcoming year?
Maybe.
Do you have any traditional ones that you have go-tos that you wheel them out sort of every couple of years and say, it didn't work this time, I'll try it again? Or
No, not so much.
no? How about you, Scott? Resolution guy?
I'm a failure of resolution, so I'm not going to do one this
You
year.
don't make them.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, I do.
Sure.
I don't follow through.
Do you make them silently or do you verbalize them? Because if you verbalize them, they become real and then there's accountability, right?
Right.
You have to actually tell somebody.
Sort of like when my daughter says that I need to visualize my axe throwing championshipness.
Similar, yeah.
Yes, and
for
then
sure.
she tells me I didn't write it down. She's like, you gotta write it down 10 times. I'm like, I wrote it down twice.
No, it just comes to that whole accountability thing. Because if you set, I'll use the weight loss one because that's a common one for people, right? I'm gonna lose 10 pounds this year. If you don't tell anybody that you're gonna lose 10 pounds this year, it's not a resolution. Because if you don't lose the 10 pounds, nobody's the wiser.
Right.
So resolutions, they have to be real and they have to be spoken and they have to be verifiable by a third party.
Right.
So that's my take on resolutions. I don't make them anymore because much like you, I'm a resolution breaker and I just can't stand the guilt that goes with it because that's something that I struggle with, right? Listeners, if you've got New Year's resolutions that you guys like to bust out and cycle through on a semi, every couple of years, drop us a line. Let us know what those are. We'd love to hear what some of your best ones are. Well, guys, that's it for me. I had a great, Sawcast has only been a thing for just a few months. So I look forward to doing this again 12 months from now.
Nice.
When we have a full year of shows to look back on. Maybe next year's will be a recap of of the last, well, we're doing 2 shows a month. So maybe we'll be able to do a bit more of a review about our shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Well, for Hanging at the Barbershop and Sawcast Productions, I'm your host, Wes.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm here too.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, from
All right.
all of us here at the Sawcast family, have a wonderful, happy new year. Better times in 2021, my friends, and we will talk to you soon.
Be safe. Have fun.
And bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us at the Barbershop. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like and share us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date on all of our shenanigans. Hanging at the Barbershop is a Sawcast production.